How many articles you write so far? Just one? Come on. Yes, sir. So my understanding, I don't follow it either. I didn't know. Half the setup on Monday, so it's got to go for one pound. Yeah, fine, good time. And then, best as I can tell, it's going to be absolutely.
Good evening, everybody. How are we all doing on night 2 of deliberative session? All right, before we get started and hopefully conclude deliberative session, would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all for coming again tonight. I'm not going to go over all the rules and procedures like I did last night, just because everything still pertains. Everybody that was given permission last night to speak still has permission to speak for those that were non-residents. I do have one person that has reached out to me asking to speak that is a non-resident. Before I ask for a motion, are there any other non-registered voters that would like to be given permission to speak tonight that did not get permission last night? Okay. So the non-resident is Erin Talcott. She would like permission from the Boys and Girls Club. She would just like, she's permission to speak at the meeting. So is there anybody that would make a motion in that regards? All right, I've got Steve Kelly making a motion, and your name, ma'am? Kim Westcott. Kim Westcott, super. All right, Angie, did you get those? Awesome, thank you. All right, all those in favor, please hold up your yes cards. All right, thank you, everybody. Let's take a look. As I mentioned, everything that we talked about last night is still relevant tonight. The permissions given are still in play for non-resident speakers. As a reminder, we voted to put on Articles 1 through 20 as well as 57 and 58 onto the warrant as presented, and they were also, reconsideration was restricted of all those articles last night, so we cannot reconsider any of those that we worked on last night. Let's see. Excuse me, 1 through 19. Thank you. 20 is the first one that we're going over tonight. Take a look. So, I'm sorry, I just had a couple notes. Want to make sure I hit everything. Again, we will have the 3-minute time limit, so please be respectful of both the time limit, as well as if there's a person up here speaking, please give them the courtesy of being uninterrupted. Random shout-outs aren't appreciated, and quite frankly, a lot of this stuff ends up being disrespectful and is not needed at tonight's meeting. With that, I think the first order of business before we start Article 20 is the board has found an administrative error that they would like to correct on a different warrant article. So they're going to read a motion, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, moderator. Okay, the motion is to amend Article 35 by amending the title of Article 36 as referenced in the parenthetical of Article 35 to be consistent with the title of Article 36 by replacing expendable trust fund with capital reserve fund. It's just a wording issue, yeah.
Yep.
So that's the motion. I second it. Thank you.
All right. We have a motion by Carrie Harrington and a second by Kim Westcott. Thank you. All right, and people already raising cards. So just so everybody's aware, it's just matching the title that's mentioned in 35 to actually what the actual title of 36 is. So it's grammatical, administrative. So that's that. So is there any other discussion? All those in favor, please hold up your yes card. Awesome. Thank you very much, everybody. Now we will go back to Article 20. Article 20, Fire Department Ladder Truck Production Slot Cancellation Fee. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $85,500 from the general fund unassigned fund balance for the sole purpose of covering a potential manufacturer cancellation fee of up to 4.5% should the town later determine not to proceed with the purchase of a new ladder truck after securing a production slot. This authorization is intended to allow the town to reserve a future production slot without obligating the town to the full purchase or financing of a new ladder truck. Any final authorization to purchase, lease, or bond an estimated $1,900,000 for a new ladder truck shall require a separate warrant article at a future town meeting. If the ladder truck order proceeds to full purchase, this authorization shall become null and void. The special warrant article will be a non-lapsing appropriation per RSA 32:76 and will not lapse until the purpose is completed or by 12/31/31, whichever is sooner. Estimated tax impact, none in 2026, estimated to be 21.4 cents per thousand for a 10-year agreement. Recommended by the Select Board, 3 to 2 to 0. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 4 to 2 to 1. Anybody like to discuss this or chat about it? And Chief Miller's going to come up and talk about this, I guess.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chad Miller. I'm the fire chief. And this is a bit of an unusual warrant article. We're up against a few issues. First of all, trying to be creative in financing a ladder truck, which we wouldn't be able to receive for 4 years due to manufacturers' delays in building. If we're able to sign a contract, which doesn't require any down payment, we can lock in on a price so that we can be exempt from price increases. The price increases for this truck, it went up almost $100,000 in October, and it will go up about $100,000 a year, according to the manufacturers, every year. The truck that we spec'd out is a base model 100-foot ladder truck with a pump. It doesn't have any bells or whistles. It's really, we can pick the color and where one seat goes, basically. It is about all that we can do at that type of pricing. The ladder truck we have right now is 23 years old. So 25-year-old is the standard for removing from service. It's not a hard requirement. It's definitely a recommendation. But given the 4-year delay, putting our truck at 27 years, complicating matters are a few things. The manufacturer of our truck, American LaFrance, that we have a 2003 ladder truck, 100-foot with a pump. We're looking for the same truck. That company went out of business in 2014, and parts have run dry for it. So we did have a failure of it. We were able to spend about $20,000 and have a part manufactured for it, but we're told that some parts can't be manufactured for it, specifically some of the electronic components and the safety systems for that. Today we recognized a failure in the hydraulic system that's going to put it out of service most likely for a month and will cost an estimated more than $10,000 to repair. Really, it's not what this truck is doing for us right now at this moment. It's what it can do for us at any moment. And it's really critical to our operations, especially operating from a height or in a compact urban area, such as our village district. That maintenance downtime does affect our ability to deliver that service. So what we'd like to do is secure the cancellation fee as part of this warrant article so that we can sign and on the contract, expecting delivery in 4 years. A later town meeting will authorize the funding, and ultimately, if we do not get funding for it, we would have to pay the cancellation fee and walk away from the truck.
Are there any questions?
You said this new truck is to basically the similar specifications with it, like for height and everything.
Correct.
So does the current truck, therefore the new truck, is it going to be able to manage all the buildings that we have in town with respect to their height? You mentioned heights and spaces.
Yeah, so the answer is no, but yes. So we can't reasonably get beyond the 110 feet that we can get with our ladder truck. You're looking at something really exotic and not common. And so it's not something I'd recommend, but this would get us to all the places we can get to now.
But there are a few places that you can't get to now, and you won't be able to get to
So it's not
in
just
the
about
future.
height, it's about reach as well. And so sometimes we can't get to the tops of certain areas just because we can't get close enough to get to the top of it.
Okay. And my other question was, it says that there's an estimated 0.214 per thousand for a 10-year agreement. Would that be the purchase of, if we actually purchase the vehicle?
Yeah, I believe the Budget Committee wanted that on there so that you'd understand, if we were to proceed.
You're going to ask us for this
that's
in the next few years?
What it would be estimated at, yeah.
Okay. I think that's it.
All right.
John Piet, Littleton. How are we raising $85,000 with no tax impact?
I believe it's coming from the general fund unassigned fund balance.
Okay, thank you.
So there's
And-
no tax impact in 2026. Obviously, the funds had been raised through taxation previously.
Right, and so we're taking the money that we've had left over to pay rather than pay down the rate that we've done in the past and whatnot. My second question is, if we know that we're going to be staring down a $1.9 million bond if this happens, is there a reason we didn't go with a capital reserve fund to start saving money towards that?
Sure.
Yeah, that gets into a discussion we'll probably be having about some of our capital reserve funds this evening. As many of you may know, we did form a CIP committee this year that was, we had members from the school board, select board, and budget committee members. So we put together a 6-year capital improvements plan. Part of that plan was the ladder truck. But through that process, what I've identified is we don't have the cash reserves in place to really purchase any planned capital in the next 6, 7, 8 years. And I don't believe we have the capacity to actually start putting the money in an account to save up for that purchase. So for example, if we're going to buy a ladder truck at $1.9 million 4 years down the road, we're going to start putting $350,000, $400,000 into an account. That would be a direct tax on the budget and warrant articles that we have this evening, which we've already identified and many have voiced concern about, that we just simply can't afford that. So what we're going to be doing this year is working with that CIP plan, hopefully restructuring the capital reserve funds that we have, and working forward on developing a plan where we're going to be focusing on lease purchasing all of our future capital equipment, lining it up in such a way to the best of our ability to make sure that those finances are done and staggered in such a way that we try to keep that the cost of lease purchasing as flat and level as we possibly can, so that we don't have ups and downs and dips. So that's the plan. I mean, the alternative would be you would have multiple articles this year asking to put money into capital reserve funds to purchase the grader that's going to cost $350,000 in 2 years, the front end loader, police cruisers, fire engines, and ladder trucks. And we simply just don't have the capacity to do that right now. And I don't know if we ever will. So I think that the only way to move forward with our capital is to actually come up with a financing plan and taking advantage of the lease purchasing municipal program that's available.
Fair enough, thank you.
Good evening, Dan Stearns, Littleton, and a member of the Budget Committee. Just as taxpayers and people across the country are having to kind of look at their budgets and kind of adjust and maybe reconsider some of the purchases that they are making and doing, I'm just curious, has the town and department considered a gently used ladder truck, because there are brokers. I just did some brief 10-minute research. There are many brokers in the United States that deal with fire trucks, and they have a large inventory, or they broker these used ladder trucks. They're top brands. And just for the heck of it, there was one I noticed that was a 2020 model year, and it was a 35% discount over the price that a new one is. And it would, like I said, it was a 2020, and it was about 1.25 million. So there would be a considerable savings there. And granted, you'd have to have them looked at and verified, and make sure that they're up to speed and code. But is that something that the town has considered and looked at, or is it because we've always done new and it's time that we repurchase? I'd like your thoughts on that.
Sure.
Thank you.
A few thoughts on it. First of all, our type of governance structure doesn't really allow us to buy used well in the type of market that we're in. So a town in New Hampshire just tried to do the same thing. They were basically given 48 hours to make the purchase. The next select board meeting wasn't for a week. That truck is gone. These trucks don't tend to stay on the market. The ones that you see on the market, it wouldn't surprise me to find out that that vehicle has a salvage title. It's been previously damaged and written off. There's a lot of nuances that go into it. We have bought used equipment. I am not at all opposed purchasing used equipment. We purchased Ambulance 2 used, and it's been a great vehicle for us. And I'd have no problem doing it again if I found that same value. But because of the 4-year delay and many towns being in the same boat, and cities that we are in, the used market is extremely tight. And while it's foreign to us in New Hampshire, a lot of the fire service in other parts of the country, they have a treasurer in their department. They can write a check tonight for a vehicle. And it's much like a nice used vehicle that's a good deal at the car dealership. If you tell them you'll come back in 2 weeks for it, it may not be there. So I think that's some of the bigger challenges. I'm certainly happy to look at anything specifically. There are occasionally some really good deals that, man, I wish we could get. We don't have even if I could get that same truck for $800,000 tonight, I don't have the authority to purchase it. We don't have the funds to purchase it. So there's a lot that goes into it. And it doesn't take too long to get a little bit older, and we start running into insurance issues with Primex. We did look into that, and it's kind of a complicated thing about how they, what type of value they place on the truck. Even though we just bought it for X number of dollars, doesn't mean that if something happens to it the next day that we would get that same check back. So it's a very specific situation. So like I said, I'm happy to look at individual trucks. I would remind everybody too that our second due engine, we do not have a second due engine. When I came here in 2016, the budget committee made mention that we purchased a fire engine in 1994, and we purchased another fire engine in 1996, and there was a lot of complications with it, and there was a lot of displeasure with that. And so those two trucks failed within 2 years of each other, catastrophically. And currently, our engine 2 is on loan to us from the city of Boston. So we don't have a reserve fire engine or second due fire engine that we're owned by the town. So we do look at creative ways to solve problems like that. So it's not at all something we're afraid of looking at.
Okay, thank you.
Bruce Hadlock, taxpayer. How's that? What's the name of this company that you're dealing with?
The company that we were dealing with on the quote that we have specifically is E1.
Where are they located?
So the dealership we're working with is out of Vermont, but they're built in either Wisconsin or Florida.
I mean, a lot of times we've made mistakes in here when we've got equipment because we didn't get the right transmission, because of the fact that we live in an area where there's a lot of hills and stuff like this on it too. But
so we're not, at this price range, we get the standard transmission. There's no special rear end, differential, anything like that. We get the standard. So this isn't spec'd for hills or anything like that. It'll operate fine in those environments, but it's not tuned for those environments.
You ever heard of this company that's down here in Cornish, New Hampshire?
I'm not certain. What's the name of the company?
Well, it's right there on it. I gave one.
Oh, Dingy? Yeah,
Yeah.
I was involved with a rescue truck many years ago that they built, I believe.
Have you checked with them? They build, rebuild, they buy, they sell, they contracted with an outfit out in Ohio out of it. And I mean, price-wise, you might do a hell of a lot better off in a local part of it in the state on the thing on it, whether it's used or new or refitting what you have. So I don't believe in putting any money aside for this, specifically until you do a hell of a lot more homework with a lot of different dealers and stuff like that. Now, we're not very far from Canada on it too. And you can buy stuff from Canada on it that could contract the thing, and you're dealing with Canadian money.
So we did look at that. Somebody called me on that. I thought that was a very interesting idea. But where you quickly run into, this is a well-oiled machine. There is a federal investigation into fire apparatus manufacturers in an antitrust situation that's occurred. They've all been bought up by two companies.
You get the same thing on pickup trucks.
So, but they're franchised. So I can't go to Massachusetts necessarily to buy a specific fire engine. If I want to buy an E1, for example, I have to buy it from the distributor that sells to New Hampshire. If I want to buy a Pierce, I have to go to the distributor that sells from New Hampshire. So while that manufacturer may list a ladder truck in Canada at a price that's better than what I can get here, I can't buy it because of the way that they operate. I have to purchase it through their franchise dealerships.
This is a franchise dealership, and I'm surprised you haven't gone within our own state out of it to go to somebody.
I can't specifically say I've looked at Dingy, but I've looked everywhere. So I'd be shocked if I went through my browser history and didn't see that company name in there.
I'm looking for why you haven't contacted them, brought it back, and specifically more information than just one outfit.
E1 is known as the cheapest ladder truck that is available for purchase. That's why we looked specifically at E1.
But you haven't gone to other places to ask.
We certainly have.
Then why haven't you gone to Dingy? They're right here in New Hampshire out of it.
Dingy does not manufacture ladder trucks. They do not sell new ladder trucks.
Pardon me? Yeah, they get them right out of Ohio.
Hey, Bruce, you've hit your 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you should be supplying us with this information before we vote on something of this nature.
So the deputy said we did look at Sutton stuff and it was a much higher price.
Hey, good evening. Ed Cherry in Littleton. Chief, couple questions.
Sure thing.
The $85,000, does that secure a production slot? Is that what that is?
So
Or is that the fee if we secure a spot and then later exit out?
So there's no fee for securing the slot. I could sign with authorization today. The fee is when we do not accept delivery of it because we haven't funded it. And so it was felt in order to sign on that, we should commit the cancellation fee, which is what this is.
How long can you hold that before the cancellation? Can you hold it for 6 years, or do you get, at some point you get kicked out of the queue, right?
We've been told 4 years, so I haven't looked beyond that in all honesty.
And in terms of the price going up, by getting a production slot, does it lock us at this price, or it's still subject to the price at the time of making a full order?
There's not a 100% guarantee, only a commitment through this one manufacturer that they've never raised a contract price once they've signed on it. And there's the additional pressure right now of the federal investigation by the Senate into all of their business practices.
So the 85,000 would allow us to sign a contract, lock in the price, more or less, for 4 years. But if we fail to complete that order in 4 years, we forfeit that amount. Is that?
Correct. We actually will hold that money. We don't have to pay it. I can sign, it's a car dealership, 0 down, 0 a month until you get it type of thing. But the feeling, I believe, from the town manager and the board was that in order to do that, we wanted to make sure that we had encumbered the cancellation fee so that if we had to cancel, the funds were already committed. But we would not pay this to them. This would stay in the town coffers as an encumbrance until the ladder truck is decided one way or the other.
Okay. And we don't have a capital reserve account for this yet, so the 1.9 million, it seems unlikely we'd be able to raise that via capital reserve appropriations over the next few years, be anticipated to be a bond.
It'd be a lease purchase, yeah. That's, I believe, the mechanism that the town will use to
So you
purchase.
purchase it and you pay it over multiple years
So this had a 10-year.
with interest, like a regular vehicle lease.
Correct. Yep.
Last question. Are there grants, or have you investigated grants from the state or FEMA or others to offset some of the purchase price?
Yep, and we will attempt to apply for a grant. They are, the funding had been restored for them. It's hard to bank on anything. Our ladder truck is not currently old enough to be eligible for a grant. They wanted to get to the 25-year mark, but because the application process won't change next year, it's worth trying to apply this year. But we've been told, do not hang your hat at all on a grant.
Do you need, sorry, one more question. Do we need to have a purchase agreement in place in order to apply for a grant?
No.
Okay.
So there's $300 million in grant money, but that's not just for across the country, and that's not just for apparatus. That's for all aspects of firefighting from the federal government. So to get a $1.9 million grant would be pretty remarkable.
All right. And it sounds like the older the equipment, the higher in the queue you move up in trying to get that grant money.
So every year is different because you never know who's going to apply and what the situation is with the applicants. But essentially, the older your equipment is, the higher chance you have, as long as people with older equipment than you aren't applying in greater numbers.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Lilo Reinstein, Littleton. Excuse my ignorance. You said we have a loaned engine and a broken ladder truck. What else do we have for firefighting?
For fire apparatus, we essentially have 4 vehicles. We have a tanker, which is a 2013.
It carries water.
Yep, it carries 3,500 gallons of water. We have engine 1, which is relatively new. We received it a number of years ago.
Okay.
That's your standard fire engine. We have a second fire engine, which is on loan to us from Boston, and then we have our ladder truck.
Okay, so basically, without the loaner, we'd have one functional vehicle.
Correct.
The tanker
Well,
carries water. You don't fight.
The tanker is not configured as an engine. It doesn't have a
Right.
ladder or other
That's what I'm
necessary
getting at.
components.
It carries water, which
It
you
brings
need.
a lot of
but-
water, and it does a few other small things, but that's the majority of it. So we have, and the ladder truck does have a pump and carries water, but not enough to typically make a direct attack on a home.
So if, and I'm not saying it's ever happened, but if Boston needs its truck back, its engine back, we're down to 1, and we just cross our fingers. And the other one, it's not just that it's down at this moment and periodically down, but there are no longer parts available for it.
So there are some parts that are no longer available. The thing that broke, we have full confidence we're going to be able to have repaired with parts off the shelf, but there are a number of components that we've been told are no longer available.
So we really don't want to plan on keeping that any longer than we have to, because there'll be more and more things that fail, which means more and more. And this is what happens with the sewer plant too, right? We let things go, and we waited until they were really old, and then we couldn't get parts, had to have parts built, and it all takes time. And sewer, fire, I mean, none of us want our homes or our neighbors' homes to get burnt down, but if we don't have adequate fire protection, we're going to have houses burnt down. I mean, I think we've all probably seen it on TV just in this state, this time of year. Lots of buildings burn. I would think we need to do it. I am concerned,
Hey,
I was of
Lilo,
the
you
under-
got 1 minute.
I was under the understanding that we had reserve capital funds for a number of these different departments, and that would mitigate the need to just go out and get bonds or, I'm one that believes in not going into debt to do things.
Yeah.
So I would, as a taxpayer, I would prefer to put a little bit in every year and not get this big debt that we'll have to pay at some other time. So that's on a kind of it's an across-the-board issue for a lot of the upcoming things. But I do want to say I support that we need a ladder truck, and if we have to pay that, we have to pay that. And I wouldn't think that importing a ladder truck's going to help us, not with the current tariffs.
George Morgan, Littleton resident. Chief, I was just curious, since we're operating on chewing gum here for keeping our vehicles going, what is the mutual aid situation as far as for a ladder truck goes, or
Yeah.
a pumper, whatever it is you need? Is it reasonably close? Is it accessible?
So I would say that we have two ladder companies fairly close by. One's in Lisbon and one's in Franconia. Both of those trucks are older. One of them is substantially older. And it's just tough to rely on that in our community. You really need a ladder truck early on. If you've seen pictures of fire scene, there's hoses that run everywhere. The ladder needs to get close enough to the building to be able to reach it, but far enough away from the building so that it doesn't get melted or doesn't get collapsed upon. And that's a really tricky thing and difficult to do 25, 30 minutes after an incident starts.
Okay, but we're still talking a long ways in the future before you get a new ladder truck.
Correct.
So
We're
at
gonna-
some point in time, if this one gives up the ghost, you're going to be strictly dependent upon mutual aid. So even though it's not the ideal situation, we do have things we can turn to.
Yeah, well, we're committed to keeping this operational to the best of our ability. If we run into an insurmountable problem, then, we'll be before the board and we'll have to discuss, what the solutions are at that point.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor of placing Article 20 on the warrant as proposed? Thank you very much. Any noes? All right, the yeses have it. It goes on the warrant. Article 21, Public Works Road Improvements, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate from taxation the sum of $625,000 for the purpose of improvements, replacement of repair of roads. The special warrant article will be a non-lapsing appropriation per RSA 32:76 and will not lapse until the purpose is completed or by 12/31/27, whichever is sooner. Estimated tax impact of 46.8 cents per thousand, recommended by the Select Board 4-0 to 0, recommended by the Budget Committee 6-0 to 0. Anyone from the town want to? Right? Are there any questions?
Lilo Reinstein, Littleton. With roads and some of the other things coming up, we seem to never get to some of them. Is there an actual plan in place that says when certain things will be done and what those certain roads or whatever will be done? We have some roads that are really in really bad shape, and they seem to keep getting bumped off. So. And everything's getting bumped out, and it's a planning issue, program management type thing. And I don't know the details of what gets done, but right now we've been going through this situation for a number of years where the stuff that appears to be in the plan that never gets done that year, and I'm concerned about that. So.
I'm on board with you. I agree with you 100%. So we have a plan for the coming paving season here as soon as we hit spring. And then we begin working on the plan for 27. We are in discussions with our Regional Planning Commission, working with them to assist us with developing a 7-year plan to address the roadways in this town. The town did have a comprehensive plan, and I think it's probably been on the shelf for at least 10 years. So there was a plan. But with all of these plans, it always comes down to cost. But definitely, we plan on working with the Regional Planning Commission, coming up with 7-10-year road pavement management system plan, so we know what we are doing between now and the next 10 years, and prioritizing those roads on the need, the existing conditions, factoring in the fact that what's underneath the roads, so that we don't repave, resurface a road that needs sewer lines and water lines and culverts replaced too. So it's a pretty comprehensive task to put together a plan to make sure we're communicating with New Hampshire DOT, the Water and Light Commission, with our sewer department and highway. But you're absolutely right. We need a plan, but the plan will cost money to implement. Right now, at this level of funding, it's pretty flat. So the cost of paving continues to increase every single year. As we level fund this paving effort, we are most likely, I'm going to assume, paving less and less every year. So one of the goals, I've talked with the Budget Committee, the Select Board, we had to roll it back this year because our budget collectively just came in too high. But we're going to continue to try to get this number up. And we're also going to work on that 10-year plan.
Okay, because again, I mean, I think that this is one of the more critical things, and I'm going to use the Opera House because it's the one I love to use. I don't know what benefit we have with spending money on the Opera House. People can use it for a fee. We need to raise the fees if we're not breaking even with it. Last I walked on Bronson Street, which admittedly was a number of months ago, it was about to go into the brook that goes underneath it. I don't know if that's been fixed or not. The sidewalk already has gone into the brook. This isn't just paving, because if you pave over air, it will just fall back into the brook. So I'm just concerned about the condition of the roads. Paving is one thing that needs to be done, but when we have roads that are cracked and sinking, we need to find out why they're sinking too. It's not just paving over. Thank you.
Agreed.
Okay, for me?
Yep.
Bruce Hadlock. How about your, the amount of money that you receive for Class 5 roads, Class 2, 3? How much are we getting for those? Are you prepared to know that these monies come in? Pardon me? I'm not saying what you have. I'm saying how much do you get annually? Every road has a class, and if it's a Class 5 or a Class 3, even local, and you can use that even to buy equipment with, on not just pavement out of the thing on it.
But what you're asking for, Mr. Hadlock, is how much money does the town receive in state highway block grant funding on an annual basis? And off the top of my head, I think it's 200, what is it? 185.
Okay. And
185,000.
And what are they using that money for?
We have that as a revenue that comes in our operating budget, so that comes in as a revenue. And then we raise and appropriate this number.
What are you using the money for?
Paving.
The 200,000 is used for paving?
It's comes in as a revenue source.
Yeah.
Which offsets this cost of paving. So it's not earmarked for anything in particular. It's just a revenue source that reduces the overall operating budget.
It doesn't sound right. Okay, if you're getting this money that's coming in on the thing, where is it being spent?
It's being offset. This article right here that's raising money for paving.
I'm not asking
at the
about
end of the
this
day,
article here.
it's offset by the
I'm not
revenue.
asking about that article. I'm asking about the class. Every town has these things on them, and they get money from the state.
So the way it works in this town, other towns do it differently, but the way it works in this town is the highway block grant money comes in as a revenue. All the revenues are added up. Listen to me. All the revenues are added up, and then we add up all the things that we raise money for. Revenues offset the gross appropriations. The difference is your net tax impact, which results in your tax bill. So we operate a whole highway department, sand, salt, trucks, we buy capital, we pay for manpower, we raise money for paving. All of that is offset by $180,000, $185,000 from the block grant.
I guess
I could have a warrant article. In all fairness, I could have a warrant article that says, raise and appropriate $185,000, utilizing the highway block grant money for paving for 2026. No tax impact. Absolutely, I could do that.
Well, I believe that that's what should be, so that the people would know where the money is being spent, or when you're allocating it, rather than just having it in here that you can grab it and use it for something else. We don't know what you're using it for.
I know. And the year that we do that, it's a loss of $185,000 of revenue, so it's going to be a tax hit, a one-time tax hit of $185,000.
It won't be, if you
All right,
do it right.
It will be. No, that's the only way to do it.
Okay.
But I hear you. I understand.
Any other discussion on this article? No? All right, all those in favor of placing it on the warrant as presented, please hold up your yes cards. Thank you. Anyone opposed? All right. The article passes as presented. Article 22, Public Works Sidewalk Improvements Expendable Trust Fund. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate from taxation the sum of $75,000 to be added to the Highway Sidewalk Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund previously established in 2013 under Article 15 under the provisions of RSA 31:19A. Estimated tax impact of 5.6 cents per thousand, recommended by the Select Board 4-0, recommended by the Budget Committee 6-0. Is there any questions or discussion?
I have two things. One is I have the same comment with the sidewalks as I did with the roads, with planning and preparation. The other thing is this going to include the Cottage Street sidewalk that we've been promised for the last, 5+ years? I've only been around 8, so I'm just trying to be generous.
So this will be sidewalk projects that we have planned for this summer. It does not include Cottage Street. Cottage Street is funded and will happen. It will definitely happen this year. It's funded through a grant and previous appropriations.
Okay, it's a lawsuit waiting to happen. It truly is. If someone walks on that sidewalk and hurts themselves, and I did about a year and a half ago, or just over a year ago, I re-injured my back. I have a squashed disc now, so I walk with a nerve pain. So I could have sued. I don't believe in that kind of thing, but it's like if that's what it takes, I would recommend to anyone who has that kind of situation happen to have to sue the town, because if that's what it's going to take to get the work done. I understand that it was planned and now this recently, but this has been talked about, and I don't remember when it wasn't talked about. I haven't been here that long, but I don't know if you've been down that street. It's an absolute disaster.
I drive down that street every day.
Walk down it
to
sometime,
and from.
please.
And, but yeah, unfortunately, the project was scheduled for last summer, and we had, the last second, we had some information we discovered with some infrastructure under the roadway. And unfortunately, by the time all of that was addressed, redesigned, we lost the opportunity to start construction. Contracts are in place. Construction will be starting this spring. Cottage Street will be completed this summer.
John Piet again, sorry. How do we come up with the $75,000? Do we look at, these are the projects we want to do this year, and we think it's going to cost us $75,000, so that's the amount we put on here? Or every year, we think it's going to be this much, and we set aside on the last one 625, on this one 75, and we do what we can with the 75,000.
Yeah, so it's two things. It's identifying the projects that we believe can be accomplished within this dollar amount. We want to do more, but there's that balancing act of all the other articles and all the other infrastructure. So as you know, in the Budget Committee, I've been talking about trying to get this article. I'd love to see this thing at $150,000 a year. So every year that we can do it, when we have some capacity in our budget, you know, you're going to see us trying to inch this up $25,000 every year. It'd be nice to get this thing to about 150 grand every single year. I'd like to see the road paving budget in this town at about 800,000 every single year. But it'll take some time, little steps.
All right, any other questions, discussion? All those in favor of placing it on the warrant, please hold up your yes cards. All right, opposed? None. Article passes. Article 23, Public Works Mill Street Riverbank Stabilization Project. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $125,000 from the general fund unassigned fund balance for the purpose of funding engineering design, temporary stabilization measures, and permanent repair work for the Mill Street Riverbank Stabilization Project. The special warrant article will be non-lapsing appropriation per RSA 32:76 and will not lapse until the purpose is completed, or warrant article will be a non-lapsing, or by 12/31/28, whichever is sooner, and to authorize the select board to apply for, accept, and expend federal, state, and other aid, if any, which may be available for the said project, and to comply with all laws applicable thereto. Estimated tax impact is none. Recommended by the select board 4-0. Recommended by the budget committee 6-0. Comments, questions, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of placing it on the warrant, hold up your yes cards.
There's a local company right here in Littleton out of it. It's called, it's Young Champagne owns out of it. And he has all the necessary rock and stuff like that. He's been selling it to the power companies. Have you seen them all over the place? If you go up in his pits, he's got the rock, he's got everything, and he can move that stuff right down that, the old railroad bed, from where he would be, right down through there on it. And he's got the equipment to actually do the stuff out of it, too. But I think you should be talking with him about the possibility and pricing it out before you appropriate some of the monies again.
Very good point. And, but there's a few things that need to occur before we get to that point of talking about, talking with a contractor about doing the construction.
No, you have him do a turnkey.
So this is a big project. I want everyone to understand that this project is most likely, I don't really want to throw a number out there, but it's going to cost you money. What this money is going to do is help us start the design of how we're going to stabilize the bank on a temporary basis and how we're going to permanently stabilize the bank. We need to be able to do that and have professional documents in place so that we can talk with FEMA and other grant agencies to hopefully leverage some grant funding for this project. Once the permits are in place, the scope of work, everything's designed, definitely this project will be going out to bid, and a contractor like you've just mentioned hopefully will bid on it. We want local guys to bid on this.
Why not ask him for a turnkey operation where he in turn designs and puts the engineering?
Because we would lose our opportunity for FEMA funds. And we know that your contractor doesn't have the ability to design the temporary and to get the permits. We're going to be in the river.
These people in turn have to get them all the time out of it. Any contractor does. I don't know whether you know that, but that's how they do turnkey things. They do them with schools. They do everything on it. Yeah, and that's what you should be doing, is going to somebody like that and asking him.
The permit that's required for this job is not just a notice to DES that we're changing out a culvert. The work is going to be performed most likely in the river. We're going to have excavators in the river. We're going to have equipment in the river for an entire summer. This is a big project.
I'm not convinced that you're correct. You're making that up. Thank you.
I'm not making anything up.
You are.
Lilo Reinstein, Littleton. I think it's critical that we get this moving. This riverbank has been sliding down into the river for at least 2 years. Because I remember when I was attending some of the select board meetings, it came up, and haven't done that in quite a while. So I think we need to get this started. We need to get the design. I know there's lots of debates as to what needs to get done, but we're going to lose part of that whole river, I forget what they call it down there.
Riverwalk.
Riverwalk, yeah, we're going to lose it. It's going to all end up in the river, and I don't think that's what we want to have happen.
Thank you. All right, are there any other comments?
Tom Alt. Some of this is getting a little bit Chicken Little. The Riverwalk is on the other side of the problem, I believe. The piece that is the issue is the parking lot on this side of the river. And as I recall, a few years ago, when I was standing in the town manager's office, and the chainsaws were going, and he said, well, we're cutting those trees off the bank to fix the view. And anybody that knows anything about erosion knows that only one thing holds banks together, and that's plant roots, including trees. And the town got greedy by wanting to push that parking lot right out to the nth degree, and so you've got a slope there now that you'd never be able to plant a tree on and get any growth out of it to hold again. So definitely riprap type stone is going to be the issue. I've been on the Conservation Commission for many, many years, 20 plus, and one of the things we deal with a lot is the DES with any wetlands permits. And the wetlands regulations in the town of New Hampshire have made a lot of wetland scientists very well off, because even small impacted wetland projects that come across to us end up with wetland engineer studies and projections like this landing on your desk. So I have no doubt when you say this is going to be some kind of a project with the Ammonoosuc River and equipment in the river. And there's no way that any local contractor I know of in this town could do anything except go hire a wetland scientist that knows all the ins and outs of these projects to be able to get the thing done. So it does need to be addressed. I think we should learn a lesson in the future about working close to riverbanks to increase our tourist trade or whatever it is we're trying to do. And it's not going to go into the river tomorrow, but it needs to be on board and looked after. I might say one other thing as long as I'm here. I don't know if you're timing me.
I am. You got a minute.
Yeah, all right. Maybe I'll stand up for another article. We're all doing the best we can, I understand that. But I also know that this tax rate from 2025 to 2026 is going up 11.5%. And it tells me my $400,000 house is going to be another $600. And when we just did the reassessment, it was another $1,000. And I think it's great that all these public employees that we have these $42,000 health insurance available to them and good raises all the time and everything. 33% in Littleton, I took this off the Littleton census, are 60 years old or older.
Mr. O?
One out of three.
All right, A, the time,
Okay.
but B, this is a warrant article about a riverbank stabilization.
Okay. I would just say, you're still in charge, they're doing the best they can, but you give them what you think you want to give them. Thank you.
No. Courtney Bowler. I just wanted to say that I'm a member of the Ammonoosuc River Local Advisory Committee, and the Ammonoosuc River is a protected river corridor designated by the state of New Hampshire. So this is absolutely a project that would be coming forward for LAC review, and we're advisory in capacity. But I just want to point out that this is something that we've been keeping an eye on because there have been herbicide things coming up for us, and that there are spaces available, so we'd love to have people volunteer to become a member, to come onto the committee. Okay, thank you, bye-bye.
Right. Thank you. Any other discussion?
Bruce Hadlock, you have a local engineer living in Littleton on Fox Ridge Road up here. He in turn has done the engineering for Home Depot, he's done the engineering for Lowe's, he's done engineering all over the state of New Hampshire, and he lives right here locally. Why don't you get in touch with him and ask him?
We're currently, right now, this project is under contract with HEB Engineering. They do a lot of work for us on this, in our town.
You got a local guy.
So HAB is a very good engineering company. They know this town. They're doing other projects as well.
Yeah, I don't believe you people. I can't believe you. I mean, when you're asking about having an engineer, you've got a local one right here out of it that does that. And you should be getting in contact with him at least to compare things and see.
All right, Bruce, your question's been answered.
Yeah.
Oh,
You want to use this one?
This is fine. Eric Oliver, Director of Public Works. Bruce, I just wanted you to know that a request for qualifications went out for this project, so that engineer had the possibility to put his qualifications up against the other engineers that bid on this job. That's the process.
any other questions?
Regina Bowler, Littleton. I request that we move this to a vote.
Super. All right. All those in favor of placing it on the warrant as presented, hold up your yes cards. Thank you so much. Noes? All right, the yeses have it. One page, took us an hour. All right. Let's see if we can do better this next hour. Article 24, Public Works dump plow truck 3-year lease purchase agreement with escape clause. To see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to enter into a 3-year lease purchase agreement in the amount of $140,000 to lease purchase a highway department dump plow truck with equipment to replace the town's 2016 Ford F-550. This special warrant article will be a non-lapsing appropriation per RSA 32:76 and will not lapse until the purpose is completed or by 12/31/27, whichever is sooner. This lease purchase agreement contains an escape clause. Estimated tax impact none in 2026, estimated to be 3.7 cents per thousand in 27 through 29. Recommended by the select board 4-0. Recommended by the budget committee 6-0. Are there any questions, discussion, topics, anything?
Leila Reinstein, Littleton. Didn't we vote on something to replace the 2016 Ford F-550 last year? And it was approved?
We have more than one truck in the fleet.
This specifically states this exact same truck, unless we have multiples of that exact make and model,
Yes, we have multiple. So in our arsenal, we have 4-ton trucks, which are 550s or equivalent, minus the one that went out last year, replaced by a 600. This would make our arsenal of 4, half of them brand-new 600s.
So I guess since it says replace the town's 2016 Ford F-550, it would have been better if it had said a, one of a.
It's our last 550,
So-
so it is the.
Okay, well, someplace in here, it would have been useful to know that this wasn't a duplication, because otherwise it's like, what's going on here? Because it's exactly the same thing.
All right. Thank you for your comments. Any other discussion? All those in favor of placing it on the warrant, please hold up your yes cards. Thank you. Article 25, Conservation Transfer to the Conservation Care Expendable Trust Fund. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,500 to be placed in the Conservation Care Expendable Trust Fund previously established in 1994 under Article 10. This sum is equivalent to the unexpended balance of the 2025 appropriation for conservation expense and is to come from unassigned fund balance with no amount to be raised by taxation. Estimated tax impact is none. Recommended by the Select Board 4-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee 6-0. Are there any questions? Comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of placing on the warrant, please hold up your yes cards. Thank you. Article 26, Transfer Station Revolving Fund. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate from taxation $221,402 to be placed in the Transfer Station Revolving Fund. This amount is in addition to the 2026 user fees, which will automatically be placed in the fund. Estimated tax impact is 16.6 cents per thousand, recommended by the Select Board 4 to 0, recommended by the Budget Committee 6 to 0. Any questions, comments? All right, come on up, sir.
Steve Kelly, Littleton. Several of these articles that are now coming out, the next 10 or so, are very, very similar, and I think reflect a philosophical change in how we're looking at managing funds. I don't think it'd be appropriate to consider them all together, or at least to give an overview of the theory behind it, and so maybe we could have all the questions at one time instead of having the questions individually on each article.
Mr. Kelly, I believe there will be a motion later on. These ones are a little bit different right here, but in the 30s, that'll happen.
Article 31 on.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions or comments regarding this article? Seeing none, all those in favor of placing it on the warrant as presented, please hold up your yes cards. Thank you. All right. Article 26 is approved. Article 27, discontinue transfer station revolving fund. To see if the town will vote to rescind effective December 31st, 2026, the provisions of RSA 31:95-H and discontinue the transfer fund revolving fund established in 2020 under Article 9. Said funds are to be transferred to the general fund. If approved, all transfer station revenues shall be deposited into the general fund beginning in 2027 fiscal year, and the approved appropriation and user fees shall be included in the general fund default budget calculation for the 2027 proposed operating budget. If this article does not pass, the transfer station revolving fund shall remain in place. Estimated tax impact none, recommended by the Select Board 4 to 0, recommended by the Budget Committee 6 to 0. Are there any, does the town want to talk anything about it, or any questions, or?
Lilo Reinstein, Littleton. I would like to understand the thought process on discontinuing the revolving fund when this is fee-based with a support from the taxpayer, versus it would be nice to be able to make sure that we differentiate the fees paid for this than certain other fees that are being paid for. This is something that, and I've said this before, I would like to see this be fee-supported. And I understand the rationale to not do that totally, but I mean, I use the transfer station, but lots of people in this town don't, and I don't think they need to be paying for it, and I don't know that we'll have visibility if everything just gets plopped into the general fund.
So you're going to have a discussion about this evening about this fund that we're currently having, and then the next couple of slides, we're going to talk about the recreation revolving fund. Mm-hmm. The problem that we have with both these revolving funds is that when you establish a revolving fund, they're supposed to be fee-based. So it's a service that's being provided, and it's being paid for by a fee. Mm-hmm. There should not be a tax impact.
Okay.
So unfortunately, there are towns that have a revolving fund for transfer stations, and they're usually very specific to recycling. So those recyclables usually generate some revenue. And they'll take the recycling operation, and they'll take all the money they collect for cardboard and aluminum cans and scrap metal, and they'll capture those fees, and then those fees will pay for the disposal of them and the operation of the equipment that processes them. So there's no impact to the taxpayer. Unfortunately, the way the revolving fund is set up in Littleton for the transfer station and recreation, I'm just grouping them together because we're going to have this conversation next.
I have the same question.
These revolving funds are so large, they grab the entire costs. They removed the cost of this service from your operating budget and put them into a revolving fund, and the revolving fund isn't able to support that cost. And this is why you're having a warrant article to raise the difference of what the fees can't cover. So these revolving funds will never, ever be supported 100% by fees. There's always going to be a tax burden that needs to be asked.
Why? Why can't we make it so that the people that use the service pay for the service?
The fees, because what you're doing is the cost of running the transfer station or Parks and Rec Department, you've got the labor, you've got the buildings, you've got the infrastructure, you've got all the insurance costs, you've got vehicles and equipment. And the fees would be outrageous, absolutely outrageous, to completely offset the cost of running these two
So
departments.
maybe it's not completely offset. What about, because like I pay for the bags, okay? I think everyone who uses it has to buy the bags, and I understand the cost has now gone up, which is a good thing if that's what we need to do. But at least make this fund so that it takes care of the disposal of the trash that we put in. I don't think that the tax burden, maybe some of it has to fall on the taxpayer, but I think we need the visibility as to how much is versus how much isn't. And we need to reduce the taxpayer's responsibility for it. I mean, we don't want people just tipping their trash anywhere, clearly, and that was why I was told it's not fully done. But there's so many other people that use other means. They have someone come and pick up their trash and
Lilo,
do whatever.
Your time is coming to an end.
Sorry. So that's kind of my concern, and if this eliminates the visibility, at least that's how I see it.
Any other questions or comments, discussion? All those in favor, please hold up your card of putting it on the warrant. Thank you very much. Any noes? All right, the article is put on the warrant. Article 28, Parks and Recreation Revolving Fund, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate from taxation $451,789 to be placed in the Parks and Rec Revolving Fund. This amount is in addition to 2026 user fees, which will automatically be placed in the fund. Estimated tax impact of 33.8 cents per thousand, recommended by the Parks and Rec Commission 3-0 to 0, recommended by the Select Board 4-0 to 0, recommended by the Budget Committee 6-0 to 0. Are there any questions or comments? Discussion.
John Piet Littleton. So many of these are, let's put money in and let's discontinue, let's put money in, let's discontinue, and that seems to be repeating. And the reason we're doing the let's put money in is so we have it funded this coming year, and then the discontinuing is because after this have this be our last year with a revolving fund. Is that what is that the objective?
I'll let you speak.
That is correct. So this will fund the transfer station, the recreation department for 2026. Approval of this article next year. These two operations will be included in the operating budget, and all the revenues that these departments generate will be in the general fund as well.
So just to clarify then, that means that there's no visibility on how much is paid for by the user versus how much is paid for by the taxpayer. Is that correct?
That visibility will be very clearly identified in the schedule of revenues.
I thought you said it just gets plopped into the general fund.
So you'll see in our revenue schedule for 2027, the revenue schedule will be expanded, and we'll be capturing the fees that we charge for the bags, the fees that we charge for appliances, the fees that people pay for the after-school program. And all those fees will be used to offset the cost of running the department.
John Goodrich, Littleton Budget Committee. I probably disagree a little bit with Nyla about visibility, but I appreciate your questions because they're they're logical. But I think we've become warrant happy in this town, as evidenced by our 2 nights of meetings. And the warrants are a result of a lot of spending goes on within departments not always seen. When we get it into the budget, we get it into the line items, we can much clearer see it, in my opinion, which is why as a budget committee member, I favor that approach. So thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Oh, we got one.
Casey Hadlock. So my question is, these were put in for a reason before. And I remember maybe 10, 12 years ago, we had a different select board, and they had their budget cut, and they went after Parks and Rec, and they were going to cut the budget because it was a budget line item. Does this have any bearing for protection of the money that's earmarked for Parks and Rec or the transfer station, that it then goes to there and we're not voting to support Parks and Rec and that, so that all of a sudden, we had 2 select board members that specifically said, we're cutting the youth programs because, and I believe this is what this is set up for, is to make sure the money is there for the specific causes.
I personally think that liability, if you want to call it a liability, or that scenario, exists with a revolving fund or in the operating budget.
Well, so
for
that's
example,
what I'd like to know before I
for
vote
example,
on moving
if
this.
we wanted that $451,000 tax impact that this article is proposing
Right.
to be $351,000, the way it exists today as a revolving fund, there would be a reduction of $100,000 in the proposed 26 recreation budget. If that moves to the operating budget, that same conversation, that same outcome could happen as well.
So by having the separate funds, and earmarked has no bearing when we come here as voters that we're raising it for a specific thing. We put it in for a truck, we put it in for the roads, we put it in for Parks and Rec, we put it in for the transfer station, then ultimately you can just take those out of these funds at any time, even though we voted to put them into these revolving funds.
I'm not sure if I understand your question, but if...
I'm trying to understand
Yeah,
why we're getting rid of the process that we have. And if there's going to be any negative thing to the taxpayers, or that as far as control for the departments, or the Parks and Rec, or the transfer station, or that they all of a sudden don't get the rug pulled out from underneath them, which is what they tried to do about 10 or 12 years ago.
There's a few things going on here, and I wanted to, reiterate that what John Goodrich just said was that I've noticed since I started working here that we have way too many warrant articles. And trying to consolidate some of these expenses that are occurring off the books and bringing them back into the operating budget where you normally see them. It's where you normally see them in our communities. If you have a revolving fund for recreation, it might be very specific to just programs. So it's the summer program. It's a program that goes on a field trip, to the polar caves. And so it's funded by the people that are paying for the bus driver, the bus rental, $30. That program is protected by fees. If we don't collect enough fees, we don't go on the trip. This sitting here right now, this article could be defeated. At the polls, people could all say no.
Correct.
It would be devastating. It would eliminate your Parks and Rec program for this year. Losing $451,000, program shut down. Having it come back into the operating budget does allow, if the bottom line budget's reduced, it allows us to try to prioritize where the reduction in services would occur. So for like last night, when we had a motion of almost $1 million reduction to the operating budget, if this transfer station were in the operating budget, maybe this budget here would take a little bit of reduction, transfer station might take a reduction, it'd be spread around. There's always a risk of programs being reduced or eliminated by the final vote of the taxpayer.
Okay.
Lila Reinstein, Littleton. So a few years ago, the Opera House was set up as a separate article, the Opera House operational costs. It almost didn't pass. So the decision was made by the board to add it in for the next year into the operating budget, which basically doesn't give people a choice. Now, you talked about priorities. I think that certain things have priority. They're basic government functions. There are other things that are not basic government functions that we have here. And there's nothing wrong with having them, but we also need to consider those a lower priority when it comes to funding. You know, the fire department is a lot more critical than a summer program for Parks and Rec, or Parks and Rec to begin with. Unless everyone wants their houses to burn down, and that's okay too. So I just want to bring it up. You know, we were talking about this in one thing, but the other thing is if they slip it in, it gets dragged on with everything else and doesn't get the individual do that. And because the way the operating budget is built, there's really there's no option to eliminate specific lines.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of placing it on the warrant as proposed? Thank you. All right. Done our second page. That was a quarter of the time. Awesome. All right, Article 29, discontinue Parks and Recreation Revolving Fund, to see if the town will vote effective December 31st, 2026, to rescind the provisions of RSA 35-B:2 and discontinue the Parks and Recreation Revolving Fund established in 1999 under Article 22. Said funds are to be transferred to the general fund. If approved, all Park and Rec revenues shall be deposited into the general fund beginning in the 2027 fiscal year, and the approved appropriation and user fees shall be included in the general fund default budget calculation for the 2027 proposed operating budget. If this article does not pass, the Parks and Recreation Revolving Fund shall remain in place. Estimated tax impact is none. Recommended by the Parks and Recreation Commissioners, 3-0. Recommended by the Select Board, 4-0. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 6-0. Are there any questions or comments on this?
John P. at Littleton, I wanted to point out that, Casey, you are 100% correct, that if we stop the revolving fund, then it goes into the Select Board's decision on if they can cut it out and whatnot. But it does protect these departments as well, because it becomes what we have in the revolving fund is an up-down vote. So if people voted no, then it's no money for Parks and Rec and no money for transfer station, versus giving the town government some flexibility on, well, we can cut this and that out of those programs or departments and whatnot. So I think that's a large part of what the target is here, is to make it so there's more flexibility on how these are managed.
Any other questions or comments?
Courtney Bowler, Commissioner, Park and Recreation Commissioner. I just wanted to sort of back up what John was saying and clarifying that, yes, with the Recreation Revolving Fund, it is an up-down vote, and if it was voted no, we'd lose those programming opportunities. And specifically for Article 29, to discontinue the Parks and Recreation Revolving Fund, folding it into the general operating fund, that does give us an opportunity for the future to clearly separate operations versus programming, so we can have a clearer picture of our programming expenses and fees, revenues of fees.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of placing the article on the warrant, please hold up your yes cards. Thank you. All right. All right, so articles, anybody that's looked at the warrant so far, you'll notice we've got a lot of capital reserve funds coming up to vote on. Specifically, Articles 30 through 44 all deal with capital reserve funds, closing one out, closing them out, opening up new ones under different parameters. So 30 and 31, the Select Board and the Town Manager will go over. And then I believe there will be a motion made to put the rest on the ballot, on the warrant as proposed, just because it's the same exact thing that's happening, and just as in a matter of efficiency. And then the body will be able to vote if that's what you want to do, or if you want to continue to hear each warrant article. So with that, we'll start with Article 30. Article 30, Parks and Recreation, rescind 2021 town pool appropriation to see if the town will vote to rescind $200,000 previously raised and appropriated in 2021 under Article 27 for the design and construction of a new town pool, water activity area, and pool and pump house, which were conditioned upon participation with grant funding and scheduled to lapse on December 31st, 2026, and return the funds to the general fund unassigned fund balance. Estimated tax impact is none, recommended by the Parks and Recreation Commissioners 3-0 to 0, recommended by the Select Board 5-0 to 0, recommended by the Budget Committee 6-0 to 1. Any questions, discussion, comments?
I have a question on this one. This is, Lilo Reinstein, Littleton. If this money was appropriated in 2021, it's been 5 years, and what's been done?
So unfortunately, nothing's been done with it. It was raised and appropriated as a match for a grant. I'm not sure if at that point in time administration was aware of a grant opportunity that was going to become available. They just never, they applied for it, never received it. I'm not sure. But the original appropriation was definitely for leveraging 50% funding. So 200,000 taxation, 200,000 in grant. It never happened. These funds are going to lapse at the end of this year. And I felt it was good to bring this forward to the taxpayers and say, you've been taxed on this. Unfortunately, we didn't leverage the grant money. It's going to lapse and go back to the general fund. The swimming pool is in dire need of attention. So at the taxpayers' will let us free this money up to be used towards the pool. Hopefully we can leverage some grants, but we need to make sure we start addressing the condition of the pool. That's what's going on here.
Okay, so when this lapses, that money could also be used for other things that are critical in the town.
If it lapsed, it would be added to the general fund.
So it could be
and I'm
used
sure
for
the
other
auditors
things.
would then classify it as unassigned, not
Right.
committed to anything.
Correct.
And then somehow we'd have a warrant article to use the unassigned fund balance for
Roads.
Okay. Maybe the pool.
Mary Menzies, Town of Littleton. I thought I understood it before, and now I'm confused. So if we approve this article, the funds go into the general fund unassigned fund balance. If we don't approve this article, the funds go into the general fund unassigned fund balance, correct?
Look at 31.
Okay, well, that's why I thought it would be nice if perhaps somebody explained the concept. I know you want to deal with it one article at a time, but maybe if you would explain the concept. Thank you.
That's a good point. So this article would rescind the appropriation and put it back into the general fund. The next article will now appropriate those funds and put it into the swimming pool capital reserve fund.
I think, Mary, to answer your question, I think we have to do this in 2 warrant articles. One, we can't just,
No, I understand,
yeah.
but actually it really doesn't matter what we do on 30 because either way, it's going into the general fund unassigned fund balance.
In 30. Yeah. 31.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of placing it on the warrant, please hold up your yes cards. Thank you. Any opposed? No? All right. So there's 30, and now 31. Article 31, Parks and Recreation Swimming Pool Capital Reserve Fund, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $200,000 to be deposited into the Swimming Pool Capital Reserve Fund previously established in 2024 by Article 38, and to fund this appropriation by withdrawing that amount from the general fund unassigned balance. This amount represents the $200,000 raised and appropriated in 2021 for the design and construction of the new town pool, which vote is proposed to be rescinded by Article 30 above. Should Article 30 fail, this article shall be null and void. Estimated tax impact is none. Recommended by the Parks and Recreation Commissioners, 3-0 to 0. Recommended by the Select Board, 5-0 to 0. Recommended by the Budget Committee, 5-1 to 1. I know Mr. Brown kind of explained why why the town's doing 30 and 31. Are there any other questions regarding this article? Seeing none. All those in favor of putting the article on as proposed, please hold up your yes cards. Thank you for that. All opposed? All right, the article passes, and we'll go on the warrant.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay. I would like make a motion to consolidate discussion of Articles 32 through 44, as said articles contain questions for different municipal departments, but they're very similar. Article 32, 33, and 34 pertain to Parks and Recreation Capital Reserve Fund. 35 and 36 pertain to Town Assessment and Valuation Capital Reserve Fund. Articles 37 and 38 pertain to the Police Department Capital Reserve Fund. Articles 39 and 40 pertain to the Fire Department Capital Reserve Fund. Articles 41 and 42 pertain to the Public Works Capital Reserve Fund. And Articles 43 and 44 pertain to the Pedestrian Sidewalk Infrastructure Capital Reserve Fund.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? All right. I saw Mr. Steve Kelly raise his hand first. All right. Are there any comments, any questions? All right. Seeing none. All those in favor of placing Articles 32 through 44 on the warrant as proposed, please hold up your yes card. Excuse me?
Don't we have to first vote on her motion to consolidate?
Oh, to consolidate? Okay, my apologies. Yes. So all those in favor of consolidating all of those articles, and please hold up your yes card. All right, thank you. All right, so now we will discuss the consolidated articles. Are there any questions or comments on the consolidated articles?
Rudy Jelser, Littleton, New Hampshire. This is my opinion, nothing against, the town manager or anybody else in this thing over here. I believe that all these warrant articles that the chair of the board mentioned I truly believe that they try to confuse the voters. The only reason I say that, because all these warrant articles, they have no tax impact, okay? That doesn't mean they shouldn't even been over here, okay? Now, you got about 10 warrant articles, all of them, they are in 200,000 range, okay? That doesn't mean, if people, they don't know what the hell they read, you know what happened? When they vote, in the end, it's not just $200,000. You're talking about over $1 million that you're going to put them, in a reserve fund. Okay, this is really, I believe that the town manager, it's pretty smart to put everything separate instead of put everything together. It really confuses the taxpayer, large taxpayer. 75 and older, that they come to vote with the wheelchair and they don't know what the hell they vote for. This is my opinion. Thank you.
Eric Reinstein, Littleton. I am confused, and I'd like just clarification what's going on, because you discontinue verse 32, Parks and Recs, discontinue Remick Park Building Replacement Capital Reserve Fund. Next one, establish Parks and Recreation Building and Facilities Capital Reserve Fund. And there are all these, they look, because reading them, they seem to be just renaming all these capital reserve funds, getting rid of one and renaming it starting another one with just a slightly different name. So what is the logic? What is the purpose?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Rudy. Very good point as well. They're all very similar. And what we're trying to do here is getting back to the discussion that I had earlier about trying to find a way to reduce the number of warrant articles that we have on an annual basis. This plays into that. But what's really important here is that I've identified capital reserve funds that currently exist today that if they could expand the purpose of what they're established for, they're very restrictive, and it's not clear to the department heads, to the selectmen, to the town manager, what we really can use the funds for. So unfortunately, the way the state laws are written, it's a two-step process. We can't just expand the purpose in a one question. We need to dissolve the capital reserve fund, then create a new one and do a really good job. And what we're trying to do is do a really good job at explaining what this capital reserve funds, what the purpose is for, and making sure that everyone understands the purpose of them. But we also, and many of them you'll see that we put a restriction on the use of those funds. So we are not going to use the new capital reserve funds for any expenses that are less than $10,000. So we want those types of expenses for building maintenance, vehicle maintenance, purchasing equipment. Anything that's $10,000 or less is going to be in the operating budget. Anything that's going to be greater than that, we're going to utilize. It's optional. Selectmen are going to be agents to expend. It will be optional that we utilize the capital reserve funds to make those purchases. One of the biggest problems that we have with the capital reserve funds that exist today is that in most cases, the selectmen are not agents to expend. So the funds that the taxpayers have put in capital reserve for a very specific purpose, for example, the police department vehicle maintenance, vehicle equipment capital reserve fund. We just had an incident last week where unfortunately one of our police vehicles and our officer was involved in a serious accident and the vehicle's totaled. It's probably going to cost the town, after we have insurance and fit-up costs and all that, somewhere around maybe $30,000, we don't know yet, to replace that cruiser. The capital reserve fund that exists today, we can't access that fund because the selectmen are not agents to expend. We have to wait all the way till next March to have a warrant question to access funds that are being held specifically to address issues like having a police cruiser destroyed. So we're trying to do multiple things here, trying to expand the purpose of the funds, trying to make those funds available for emergency situations throughout the year with the selectmen's ability. Only the selectmen can make that decision. Trying to eliminate warrant articles that are on the warrant. And to be honest with you, the other part of this is, I believe, it's part of our plan to try to start to stabilize the operating budget. So we don't have department heads budgeting $80,000 for a certain piece of equipment in their operating budget, and then next year, they're asking for 30, and the next year they're asking for 125. We should be able to maintain operating budgets, those equipment lines, those vehicle lines, whatever the costs are, at a pretty fixed rate every year, and turn to these capital reserve funds for the large purchases. So that's the overall purpose of what we're trying to do. And it's very confusing, I'm sorry, but it's the only way we could do it.
I'm just looking at this. People are going to be walking in who've not been, don't go to meetings, aren't here, and they're going to read this, and it's going to take a lot of time to vote because they're going to be very confused as to what does this mean? Why are we doing this? I don't know if there's a way to give it, the explanation you just gave some type of summary as to what is going on and why we are doing this, so that people get a better idea before they go in, so that they aren't trying to figure this out when they're voting.
We'll be working with our local media and putting some stuff out on our website, because it's a very good point. It's very confusing, and I want to make sure everyone understands it.
Okay, thank you.
Leila Reinstein, Littleton. I just wanted to kind of note that some of these do have money involved. I mean, and it's not just the transfer of money. We have, which one was it? 34 is actually a part of a new appropriation. And I think I think it's, the 36 is just moving money from but it's not like money that's left over. Most of them are just money that's left in one account transferred to another. So 34 is a new appropriation, and 36 is just takes money from the unassigned.
Unassigned fund
But
balance.
it's not money that's being transferred from one account to the other. And I think that's the only one. There may be something in the, I wasn't sure about the sidewalk improvements expendable trust fund that's going to the pedestrian infrastructure capital reserve fund. It didn't really say how much money was going to be transferred. So I appreciate knowing what it is and whether it's new appropriations or from the general fund. And I just want to make sure, because people who think it's like zero impact, just a name change, for some of them it's more than a name change.
Yeah. Thank you. So it's a very good point. Article 34 is conditioned on eliminating the old or dissolving the old capital reserve fund, which was very specific to Remick Park and construction of very specific purposes. So if those articles pass, to rescind it, create a new capital reserve fund that's specifically for parks and recreation, all of our parks and recreation, is very generic to allow access to those funds for any purpose that exceed $10,000. Then once the fund's created, we have this article that is proposing to raise $100,000 from taxation to put into that fund. And although it doesn't say it, I believe that there's a mutual understanding between the Select Board, the Recreation Commission, and the Budget Committee, that these funds, the priority of this $100,000 fund, will be first and foremost trying to address the buildings and structures that we have and some other issues at Remick Park.
Thank you.
John Goodrich. First of all, I want to commend the town manager at trying to pull some sanity to this whole process, which is very confusing, admittedly so, but I think we all rolled behind it just because we think there needs to be some clarification of how to manage our budget year to year to year. And I think that's underneath it all, the purpose of it. But I do want to say, we had a earlier speaker who referenced 75-year-old people crawling up here with crutches. And I'm 75, so I take offense to that. So, but I do want to say the comment, and I don't want to let it go. Rudy made the comment. On some of these, we always say no tax impact if there's nothing specific this year in it. And I know that as a budget committee member, I would like to see that change, the wording. So it's clear there's tax impact. It already happened, or it's going to happen. But we need to eliminate that, in my opinion, that kind of wording, and make it a little more understandable to a voter. So I'll just put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rudy Joseph, Littleton, New Hampshire. This is a question directed to the town manager. Do you truly believe it that by separating all this amount of money, $200,000 to about 8 or 9 warrant articles, you would accomplish whatever you like to accomplish, that collect $1.2, $1.4 million and put them, in a capital reserve for a future. In the meantime, when the people vote, they say, oh, no tax, no tax impact, no tax impact, no tax impact. Who cares? Yes, 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 yes. Don't you really think it's a kind of, I mean, you're a very intelligent person. I talked to you quite a few times. Don't you think it's a kind of more, I don't want to use words that I don't want to use, but it's kind of, we stupid? I mean, you think the taxpayer in Littleton, they're kind of, low-profile educational people? It's just to you, please be precise at what you asking for. Forget about, that you needed this 200,000 for this, 200,000 for that, 200,000. You separated everything.
Rudy, you got 1 minute, Rudy.
Okay, thank you. You separated everything to make things look a little bit more, affordable, which is not affordable, and you know that. Thank you for your answer.
I will say that what I'm trying to do here is I am trying to make our budget process more transparent. I'm trying to consolidate where we can to make it easier for everyone to follow, trying to eliminate warrant articles as much as possible, trying to identify, create financial tools that can be used for planning, can be used by our department heads and selectmen. So, for example, right now, this is a great example. You have a sidewalk fund. We can't figure out if we can use those funds to fix a crosswalk, one of the suspended bridges, a retaining wall. All we can do with that fund is pave. We sit there and debate of whether or not, when we pave the sidewalk and we need to replace some of the granite curbing, whether it be an illegal use of the fund, because it didn't say we could use the granite curbing. So what I'm trying to do here is make sure that it's very clear to the taxpayers, to the department heads, to the selectmen, what these funds are for, how they're going to be used, and make sure they're accessible throughout the year when we need the funds. I really believe that it cleans up the budgeting process, brings it into more modern standards that I'm accustomed to.
You make a very good point. A lot of people agree with you about what you just said. Our concern, I'm pretty sure, not just me as a taxpayer, but a lot of people over here, it's the way you separate all this spending that it doesn't, it's for somebody $200,000 to vote yes, or $1.4 million.
All right, Rudy, let's.
No, listen, that's the second time. Okay.
No, but it's your time.
No, I just want an answer. It's it.
No, this isn't a debate back and forth for all night.
It's not debate. I'm not debate. When I want to debate with them, I go in his office.
That's where the real debate happens.
Thank you, Rudy.
Thank you, anyway.
John Piet, a few points on these. One, we are putting a lot of trust in the town government to spend the monies in a fiscally responsible way by changing this over and broadening the scope and giving them expenditure powers. I'll also throw out there that if I was a contractor and I saw that the warrant article to replace the dugouts at Apthorpe was $50,000, I'm going to do it for $45,000, $49,000. And this approach allows the department heads and the select board to say, we want this job done, we have this money to spend, but I'm not telling you exactly how much I have earmarked for this particular job. So it gives the town the ability to work in a higher velocity way where they can get things done faster, and they have better negotiation positions as well. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, again, these were all consolidated articles. For all those in favor of placing articles. Okay.
What was our motion? Our motion was to discuss them as
So the motion that passed was to consider all of the articles 31 through 44 at the same time.
Okay, both in discussion and vote.
Right, and so now we've discussed, so that was approved to consider them. So now that we've had discussion, we're gonna put all of those, the motion will be to put all those on the warrant as presented. All right, so all those in favor of putting Articles 31 through 44 on the warrant as presented, please hold up your yes cards. Thank you very much. Opposed? All right, Articles 31, that's like 4 pages.
Now we got the petition
30,
warrant.
31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. Article 45. The Mount Eustis Ski Hill Multi-Year Lease Agreement. To see if the town will vote to authorize the Select Board to enter into a 3-year lease with the Mount Eustis Ski Hill Group for up to 33 acres of town-owned property known as the Mount Eustis property as shown on tax map 92-33-0 under the terms negotiated and agreed upon by the Mount Eustis Ski Hill Group in the town of Littleton in consultation with the Parks and Recreation Commissioners and in accordance with town zoning and planning regulations after at least 2 public hearings. Estimated tax impact is none. Parks and Recreation Commissioners, no position taken. Recommended by the Select Board 4-0 to 0. Anybody from Parks and Rec or the town or Ski Hill want to talk? Anybody? Oh, we got someone.
Shemariah Nelson. I believe this is just to extend their current lease, right? I think we're coming up on an expiring lease.
Yeah, the lease, I believe, is actually expired.
Yes,
But this
okay.
will give the authority for the board to
Just to clarify.
extend it
yeah.
for another 3
I'm on the
years.
board of the Ski Hill, and I
Oh,
just wanted to
okay.
make sure that we clarify that this is not really a change. We're just getting back into compliance.
Correct.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of placing Article 45 on the warrant? Thank you very much for your yeses. Any noes? All right, the yeses have it. Article 46, petition, Second Chance Animal Rescue, Inc., to see if the town of Littleton, New Hampshire will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 for the Second Chance Animal Rescue. Second Chance Animal Rescue is a nonprofit that provides care and shelter for abused and abandoned cats and kittens. Second Chance Animal Rescue also sponsors monthly low-cost spay-neuter clinics for both dogs and cats by petition. Estimated tax impact is 0.4 cents per thousand, recommended by the Select Board 4-0 to 0, recommended by the Budget Committee 6-0 to 1. And I will remind the body that under the new state law, the primary petitioners for each petition warrant article do have up to 10 minutes to speak, but they don't have to speak all 10 minutes. For this warrant article, the primary petitioner is Mary Northrop.
All right. Mary Northrop, can you hear?
A little closer.
Close, okay. Mary Northrop, Littleton. I'm a volunteer at Second Chance. They've asked me to share the following statistics with you. Approximately 3,650 new cats and kittens have been taken in since opening their doors in 2010, including the recent hoarding rescue of 39 cats and kittens. Yeah. 8,500 dogs, cats, and rabbits have been spayed or neutered since 2010, 967 of these occurring in 2025 alone. Excuse me. 4 low-cost pet vaccination clinics were held in 2025, with 253 vaccines being administered at the most recent fall clinic. Last year, SCAR purchased the vaccines for the shot clinics to keep the prices low for local pet owners. With veterinary access being an issue in our community due to financial constraints, as well as a shortage of vets, with many practices not accepting new clients, our clients are sometimes the only option, our clinics, are sometimes the only option for vet care. Thank you.
All right. Mary, do you waive the remaining time? I just have, do you waive the remaining of your 10 minutes? Okay, thank you. All right, any other discussion, questions, comments?
Leela Reinstein, Littleton. I have nothing against Second Chance or any of the other, I believe they're mostly nonprofits that are on this petition list. But I want people to consider the fact that we're all talking about some of our budget concerns, both personal budget and the town budget, because looking at our tax situation, there's nothing to stop people who individually support these nonprofits from donating to them individually on their own, as opposed to using our tax dollars. There's $170,000 right now that are being requested by these petitions. That's a 0.127 tax rate impact. It's not the biggest impact, but it's certainly one where they can get this. If you want to give to these organizations, you can do so without using taxpayer dollars.
Steve Kelly, as a comment on this article and in general on all the petition warrant articles, you mentioned a total of $170,000. The town of Littleton can't hire an employee for $100,000. So for all the potential issues through the course of the year, mental health, animal control, et cetera, that all these petition warrant articles address, welfare office, et cetera, for $170,000 given to these organizations who make that $170,000 go way further than the town of Littleton ever could. If we end up having to hire one employee to help address all these additional issues that are now on our plate, that's going to eat up more than half of what we're spending, and that's a minor amount of it. So I encourage support for all of these warrant articles, most of which have been here for many years, and which take a great burden off of our own infrastructure that we have to apply to other more important issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bruce Hadlock, if you find that they decide that they're going to vote to have a casino here, the way it works is that these nonprofits ones, all of them down through here, can apply to get the money from the profits out of it, so it would probably eliminate an awful lot of them as far as that part of it's concerned, because they turn that stuff over, and that's what they do all over the state of New Hampshire. And consequently, if you have a casino in a community, that's it. Not only this part of it, it would be something like Eureka Host Company is a nonprofit organization. They could apply for it too. But it's a way of doing it financially if you end up having a casino.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions or comments on this warrant article? All those in favor, I'm sorry. Oh, we do have a, are you sure? All right. All those in favor of putting it on the warrant? All right, thank you. All opposed is putting it on? Thank you. All right, Article 47, petition Tri-County Community Action Program, Inc., to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $12,010 for the operation of the following Tri-County Community Action Program, Inc. services in Littleton includes fuel and energy assistance, weatherization, transportation service, Head Start, community action resource coordinators, housing stability services, 211 homeless call response, USDA TFAP food distribution to pantries, and the free diaper distribution program by petition. Estimated tax impact, 0.9 cents per thousand. Recommended by the Select Board 4 to 0 to 0. Recommended by the Budget Committee 7 to 0 to 0. On this article, the primary petitioner for a Tri-County Community Action Program is Kelly Hadlock. She in attendance? Okay. So there's no primary petitioner, I guess. Is there anybody that would like to have comments or discussion on this? Oh, we've got an individual coming.
I'm December Rust, Littleton resident. So Tri-County CAP, I've actually reached out to them on multiple occasions about services that they provide according to this list, and I have received 0 responses from them on any of my inquiries. because there are some major issues with some of their programs, and I'll just list one, for example, the 211 program. All that does is send you back to the Littleton Welfare Office or wherever you're calling, so that these programs aren't actually set up for an effective and meaningful response to the issues that they're supposedly talking about helping out. It's disappointing that no one from Tri-County CAP is here tonight to defend asking taxpayers for this money. I think that's an oversight on their part. And I also think that, there should be more from the town and from the Board of Selectmen. There should be more observation and oversight into what this money actually goes to and how it actually affects Littleton residents, not people from other areas, but actual residents of Littleton who could benefit from these programs. So, we definitely need programs, but from everything that I've seen, Tri-County CAP is spending efforts on tabling, on attending parades and festivals, and making sure that they have performative posts out there. They're doing a lot of effort to look good, but they couldn't even show up tonight to defend asking taxpayers for money. Thank you very much.
Steve Kelly. I can't speak to all their programs, but the one I guess I can speak to with some confidence is just the fuel assistance program. And I think the fuel assistance program justifies our contribution just in and of itself. I mean, obviously it's a big issue year after year. I had a wife who worked in the heating oil business for 17 years, always conversing about the amount of assistance that was coming into various people. So I think just that one program alone deserves our support. Whatever else comes, and I'm not going to question that you can get a lot of phone calls that don't go the way they should be going, but I know enough about that one program to know it's necessary and it's effective.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Oh, here we go.
It's 6 minutes now.
B.G. Frazier, Littleton. I haven't had as influence or involvement with many of these programs. The distribution to the food pantries I'm aware of, and the fuel and energy assistance. And even though someone hasn't come to represent themselves tonight, there could have been very valid reasons for that. I don't want to make a judgment on this petition just based on that. So they've been around for a long time, and I have seen a lot of good work from them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on up.
Jamie Rose Kelly, Littleton resident. I just want to speak on behalf of Kelly Hadlock, who was here last evening. The group voted to stop at 10, so the warrant article was not seen last evening, and she is coaching our youth in basketball right now. So I would not judge or talk badly about the fact that there isn't representation tonight because of that. And I will say, too, that these nonprofits work in tandem together. So like mine's coming up soon with Northern Human Services, White Mountain Mental Health. We work in tandem to be able to connect our folks with these resources that are available. And not a perfect system because of staffing issues, which is across the board a problem, but they help one another as well.
All right, any other questions or comments? All those in favor of putting Article 47 on the warrant as presented, please hold up your yes. Thank you very much. All right, the article goes on the warrant. Article 48, petition, Grafton County Senior Citizens Council, Inc. Shall the voters raise and appropriate $35,750 to the Grafton County Senior Citizens Council, Inc. through the Littleton Area Senior Center and the Aging Disability Resource Center for services for Littleton residents from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. The Littleton Area Senior Center provided services for 468 Littleton residents, and the Aging and Disability Resource Center provided services for 202 residents. These services included nutrition, transportation, outreach support, aging and disability resource support, and more. The cost of providing these services was $513,139.76 by petition. Estimated tax impact is 2.7 cents per thousand. Recommended by the Select Board 4-0 to 1, recommended by the Budget Committee 7-0 to 0. And the primary petitioner for this is Mr. Doug Menzies.
Thanks, Chad. My name is Doug Menzies, Littleton resident. I'm a member of the Board of Directors of the Grafton County Senior Citizens Council and the Littleton Senior Center's Advisory Board. As the warrant article states, we're asking for $35,750. We spend, as it also states, $513,140 last year providing services to Littleton seniors. Now, not everybody knows that currently only about 50% of our services are funded through state and federal programs, down from 70% historically. Towns, foundations, corporate grants, individual donations are critical to our survival. We can ask for donations for our services, but please know that our federal contracts prohibit us from actually charging for anything. The Senior Center, as many of you know, has 3 pillars of service, basically: meals, transportation, and socialization. For example, last December, volunteers distributed over 4,500 home-delivered meals, while covering 9 separate routes and making daily home social and health checks. Home-delivered meals can be lifelines. Almost half of our Meals on Wheels recipients report that need created the difficult choice between food and other essentials. Many report that their most frequent outside contact is the volunteer making their delivery. Also, during the month, 600 dining room meals were served. And I must mention a recently enhanced salad bar put on through a combination of the work of the co-op, Littleton Co-op, as well as support by the Little Free, the Littleton Thrift Shop down on Mill Street was very important. And by the way, the soup is excellent. In addition to the meals, and as far as socialization, health education programs, clinics, food clinics, tax preparation help this time of year, a broad range of social activities are offered, all with the purpose and the objective of fostering healthy aging, dignity, and individuals' independence. 800 bus rides to medical appointments and community services during the month, and it's so important. The month saw 850 volunteer hours and a wonderful dedicated staff to get it all done. I've lived in Littleton for 25 years and paid town taxes for half a century. I'm not thrilled about paying taxes, but I can appreciate taxes when they accomplish 2 things. They go directly to improving the quality of life of individuals and people who need it. The money is spent in an extremely cost-conscious way. Both of these, I believe, are demonstrated by the Senior Center. Many of us know that aging has its ups and downs. John, I'm 75 too. Most of us want to stay in our homes and out of institutions. Please know that the thousands of hours worked by our volunteers significantly expand and multiply the value of every tax dollar invested in the Senior Center. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. And Doug, you waive the remaining time?
We'll see.
Lilo Reinstein, Littleton. I'm a volunteer at the Senior Center. I drive for the home-delivered meals. I deliver meals. Now it's down to once a week. I've done everything from between once a week and 5 days a week. And we see people that haven't seen anyone for the entire day. And we see people who don't have enough food to last. We deliver to some people, we deliver 3 meals a day because, we deliver them at once, but there's 3 meals so they can have enough food to have 3 meals a day. Ditto for the weekends. We don't deliver fresh meals on weekends, but we deliver frozen meals so that people can have food over the weekend. Today we started delivering what they call blizzard bags, which is just non-perishable foods in case people get stranded in their homes. Some people have families, some don't, and some don't have families close enough to help them out. So the transportation part of it will drive them not only to their medical appointments, but they can get rides to the grocery store, to the senior center. Many of them socialize there. They start to get into the senior center just to socialize and have coffee at probably 9 in the morning, and they stay there for lunch, and then I don't know when they leave because I'm gone by then. But it provides them a sense of community. It provides them the safety of having someone check on them every day if they're not coming into the center. And they do other activities again, I think. So I think that if you're going to donate through taxes, vote for this. If you're going to donate on your own, that's not a bad thing either.
All right, any other questions or comments? All those in favor of placing the article on the warrant as proposed, please hold up your yes cards. Thank you very much. Article goes on the warrant. Article 49, petition Chamber of Commerce Downtown Beautification to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $21,352 to support downtown beautification efforts, a partnership between the town of Littleton and the Littleton Area Chamber of Commerce, including downtown flowers and holiday decorations by petition. Estimated tax impact of 1.6 cents per thousand, recommended by the Select Board 4-0 to 0, recommended by the Budget Committee 4-3 to 0. And the primary petitioner for this article is Peter Cooper.
Peter Cooper, town resident and a board member on the Chamber of Commerce. The downtown beautification effort has been going on for a number of years. Chad, I think, was at the beginning of the whole thing, and we cover the lighted spheres, which are now down on Main Street for the winter, also hanging flower baskets, and the watering of the baskets. Also, the flags are part of our program. A couple of years ago, the costs went out of sight because of supply disruptions and so on. Our longtime nursery guy in Lyndonville retired. We lost our faithful watering man, George Dimmick, who would water before he went to work at Parks and Rec. And all those things caused our costs to go way up. Because of pushback with the Budget Committee and so on, we decided to reduce the scope to just Main Street. We stopped doing Mill Street and Saranac, and we also limited the hours of watering to 7 days a week, 6 days rather than 7 days a week. So we've been holding the budget, or the requested amount, at a constant $19,411. But finally this year we've decided to try to get just a 10% increase. We're finding we've each year been raising additional money from downtown merchants and other interested folks who like the looks of our downtown Main Street with the flowers and the lighted spheres. And so that's the basis for this number. We are soliciting money from other donors to make about $5,000 or $6,000 additional that is needed to cover the expenses. We're also carefully taking on additional things that have dropped by the wayside. Go Littleton was doing a great job of scaring up money and so on for the tree at the library, the lights on the library tree. Fortunately, we had help from downtown merchants who stepped up to fund that, And Lowe's gave us a $200 discount on $700 worth of flowers. So we're trying to maintain the pianos. Again, we're looking for specific donations for specific work there rather than putting it in this general fund. But this represents a 10% increase of our requested amount, which again is supplemented by donations by individuals and businesses who really appreciate the flowers. In the past, I've noticed when this goes to a vote, about 2/3 of the folks in town who vote support this article and 1/3 against. So I would request that the petition go on the ballot so people can make a decision on whether they want to support the look of the downtown Main Street. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. You waive the remaining time? Thank you. All right. Come on up.
Courtney Bowler. I just want to say that I really support this partnership between the Chamber of Commerce and the town of Littleton. I do, however, wish that there was consideration for use of the funds for more than flowers and beautification, but something more practical. Main Street is a very busy tourism and place of business. However, we do know that public restrooms are an issue. So if there was a way that the Chamber of Commerce and the town could come together to come up with a solution for portable toilets of some fashion, I think that would be a wonderful thing to come of it, especially since a lot of the businesses on Main Street don't allow public use of restrooms. Thank you.
John Piet, earlier we heard Steve Kelly come up and say how almost all of these petitioned articles provide a value to the town that the town government couldn't support. This one is the exception, in my opinion, this is the exception to that, where in our last reevaluation, more of the tax burden was shifted from the businesses to the residents, meaning we used to be about 50-50, now we're about 60-40, where 60% is shouldered by the residents. And to me, beautifying the Main Street where the businesses are should be supported by the businesses more. So I would advocate not even putting this one on the ballot. In the past, we've given them, the Budget Committee and Select Board have given them suggestions, and when they came to do their presentation this year, we asked, so how'd those suggestions go? And they replied, well, we didn't do any of those. So give us $21,000. So I would advocate not even putting it on the ballot, even though I would support giving the people choice, but I really don't want to see this one go through because of that. Thank you.
Rudy Joseph, Littleton, New Hampshire. I definitely associate myself with the comment that John made. This is just to remind the people that since we started all this Chamber of Commerce, downtown beautification, it was $12,000. This was a couple of years back. Right now, from $12,000, we went up to $21,352. I believe that this amount of money it should be charged to the business owner, because it doesn't do nothing to my house, to my street, to stuff like that. Why I should give him money to these people? I suggested that or you take out this Article 49, or you change it completely, because they are responsible to make Main Street, to beautify Main Street with this amount of money. We're not supposed to pay for them. They don't give us no money. Yeah, they pay the tax, the same thing that I pay. You know what I mean? But this over here, it's a joke. It's kind of, really, it makes your stomach turn around. From 12,000, they went out to 21,352. Just think about before you vote for this one article. Thank you very much.
December Russ, Littleton resident. So Main Street, anyone who goes into business makes a choice to go into business. That's what they choose to do to support themselves or their family or their life or any of those decisions, just like someone who lives in Littleton decides to live in Littleton. Homeowners aren't coming to the town asking for businesses to spend their money to beautify their homes. So this is rather egregious for businesses that are only in a specific segment of the town to ask everyone else in town to support their marketing campaign, which is all that flowers are, or the pianos. Those are marketing campaigns to draw people downtown to support their businesses. And in the end, yes, the rent that those businesses pay goes toward essentially the property taxes. However, the amount of money that goes into Littleton for revenue into those businesses doesn't trickle down to the residents. That's a misnomer. It stays with the businesses. They just pay their rent, and then the landlords pay their required taxes, and then anything above that, businesses keep. So to put this on the taxpayers is egregious, and to Courtney's point is an excellent point. I've been asking this board for almost 2 years for a public restroom. I was told by interim town manager Paul Smith last year that the town would not spend any taxpayer money on that. I've asked since then and been told again the town would not support spending any taxpayer money on that. So Courtney brings up an excellent point, and the town should revisit that aspect. That money should be going to things. If we're going to support tourism, people needing to use the bathroom is a part of tourism. A much more important fact than flowers. Thank you very much.
Sylvia Smith.
Well, you can move the microphone in.
Sylvia Smith. I'd like to come out in support of the businesses in town. Some of these businesses are in quarters that are not being leased by an outstanding person like Jerry Eames. They're charging usurious rents for some of these businesses, especially the young people who are in business in this town. You know, it's quite a struggle they're paying some of these rents that would be commensurate with something that's down further south where they have a larger population and they can support these kind of outstanding rents. I also think that the tenor of the town is a blessing for the people in the community as well. I see people when I'm walking on Main Street that are local people coming downtown. It's not just tourists coming to shop at these shops, and it does have an impact. I mean, people don't think flowers are important, but it shows the tenor of the town, and I frankly think it's a very nice thing. And they're obviously not asking for the total sum that they have to put out for this. So it's something to take into account for those younger people in town that are struggling to, they don't really have the extra money to put into this themselves, many of them. So it should be taken into consideration. A lot of the older businesses have closed and they're being replaced by a lot of younger people who are struggling. Thank you.
Joanne Melanson. I'm a town resident. I'm also on the board for the chamber. We were voted the 9th best small town in America. And that's due in part to the flowers and the beautification of downtown. There's a lot of behind the scenes that Peter is doing and other board members for the $21,352. And since things have all gone up and so forth, it does beautify our downtown. It does draw people in. People do spend money. People are happy when they're seeing flowers and so forth. I hope that this makes it to the warrant. I think it's a good thing for our town, and if it makes people happy and tones down things, then I'm for it.
Jamie Rose Kelly, Littleton resident. How can we be the glad town without flowers? I'm just gonna say. I live here, I work here. I absolutely love driving down the hill into the main street any time of day. Sometimes that's 5 a.m. heading out of town. And the lights and the flags with every season, the work that's put in of taking things out and in. And just to comment on the businesses, though they, you feel that they should contribute to this. We have the most generous business owners, especially on Main Street. They donate to almost every class at the school that's asking for money, the drama club that's asking for donations. They send out donations, so you might not benefit from the flowers, but some people are benefiting from gifts that you get because you attended a drama show or something like that. So there are other ways in which the business owners are contributing to our town, to our youth, and to the overall purpose of the town, and continue to make us a glad town.
B.G. Frazier, a resident of Littleton. I appreciate everybody's remarks. They all are spot on, but we're just a very tiny group here, and I feel that we should leave this on the ballot so that the whole town can vote on this, not just a small group here tonight.
Rudy Jelson, Littleton, New Hampshire. Do anybody can tell me how a cemetery looks without flowers? A cemetery. It looks like, a dump. That's mean the family goes over there, buy the flowers, and put them on the grave, each individual. Why does people don't have to do the same with the business that they have? They get, $100 each, and you reach $21,000. Nobody the tax pay for it, toilet paper or stuff like that. That's, doesn't make any sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of placing the article on the warrant as presented, please hold up your yes cards. Thank you. All opposed, please hold up your no cards. The yeses have it. The article goes on the warrant as proposed. Another page down. We're getting closer. Article 50. Petition Above the Notch Humane Society to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 to support the Above the Notch Humane Society. For many years, the Above the Notch Humane Society has supported animals in the community at no cost to taxpayers. In the past year alone, the Above the Notch Humane Society provided over $25,000 in emergency veterinary care for low and fixed income residents' animals, including medical treatment, helping to save their lives. And in addition to this emergency care, each animal that comes into the Above the Notch Humane Society care requires on average over $500 for cleaning, medical care, and preparation for adoption. These funds will allow Above the Notch Humane Society to continue providing critical care for animals in the Littleton community by petition. Estimated tax impact of 0.4 cents per thousand, recommended by the Select Board 4 to 0 to 0, recommended by the Budget Committee 6 to 0 to 1. For Above the Notch Humane Society, I have a primary petitioner of Kim Westcott.
Hello, I am Kim Westcott of Littleton, New Hampshire. I'm a member of the board of Above the Notch Humane Society. So the town of Littleton has generously supported us for a number of years at this $5,000 level. We're requesting it again. Oh, sorry. Yes, Littleton has continued to support us over the years at this level, which we're very grateful for. During the past year, during 2025, towards Littleton animals, Above the Notch Humane Society has contributed $12,400 in emergency services for Littleton animals, and another $6,600 in the care of stray animals. We've also picked up some of the slack. Littleton used to have an animal control officer, which I believe the salary was around $25,000, has not had that for a number of years, and we have helped with when a stray animal comes into the police department, we will help with taking care of that stray animal. So some of the things that are just a direct benefit to the town of Littleton, which is why we come back to the town of Littleton and request these funds. And I guess that's really it. So, thank you.
Thank you. And you waive the remaining time?
I'm sorry?
You waive your...
I waive my
Thank you.
remaining time. Thank you.
Sorry, just with the statute, I figure it's better to be safe than sorry. Thank you. All right, any questions, comments on this article? All those in favor of placing the article on the warrant as proposed? Yes cards, thank you very much. Any noes? All right, the article... Sorry about that. The article goes on the warrant as proposed. Article 51, petition White Mountain Mental Health and Northern Human Services to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $9,696 for White Mountain Mental Health, recognizing that untreated mental illness results in loss of productivity at work, disruption to families and children, risk to the community, and loss of life through suicide. Treatment works, but only if it is available and affordable. By petition. Estimated tax impact of 0.7 cents per thousand, recommended by the Select Board 4-0 to 0, recommended by the Budget Committee 7-0 to 0. The primary petitioner I have for this is Jamie Rose Kelly.
Thank you. I'm Jamie Rose Kelly. I work for Northern Human Services, White Mountain Mental Health. I am the Director of Acute Services across Region 1 and a licensed clinical mental health therapist in the local office, White Mountain Mental Health, just down the hill. I work in suicide prevention, emergency services in our local hospital, and with mobile crisis services in the community. The funds that we ask for, they offset our emergency services. They go for underinsured or uninsured folks who need crisis services. And so we meet them at no cost to them, but we also have sliding fee scales that for people who can pay a little, but not a lot. And so that's what it's going towards. And I've invited with me somebody who benefits from the services who is going to give a little bit of a testimony.
Hi, my name's Ashley Powell. I'm a Littleton resident. I'm happy to be here tonight. I want to tell you how important it is for White Mountain Mental Health to obtain the funding that they receive from the town each year. I am 35 years old, and as long as I can remember, I've been receiving services through White Mountain Mental Health. They have helped me tremendously by teaching me life skills, budgeting money, and most importantly, DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, which is a class or course that you can take. Life for me has never been easy growing up and into my adulthood. And without White Mountain Mental Health's help, I wouldn't overcome adulthood. With White Mountain Mental Health's help, I have overcome many obstacles, like learning to communicate my feelings and my thoughts. By utilizing White Mountain Mental Health support, I have grown and become a much better person, friend. I love being part of this community. Without White Mountain Mental Health services and support, I'm not sure where I'd be today. I am sure without my counselors, I would have been in jail or maybe I would have died by now. I have been taught and I've been counseled. I have learned by various groups, including various groups that I know. Without the help of White Mountain Mental Health, I would have failed by now. I continue to learn more and more about how to become a much better person. I have also learned the value of communicating when an issue starts. I also have learned steps as an adult, and through my counseling, I talk in many sessions, problems can be resolved or solved. It's not easy, but because of the support and the friendly faces, there is help. Without the funding that our community provides each year, many people like myself would have fallen through the cracks. It would be a shame for anybody that has ever experienced a mental health crisis to be turned away. Every time I see someone on White Mountain Mental Health, I have learned something new about how to be a better person and a much better friend. As you may all know, in this modern day and age, there are a lot of people with mental health problems. And as you are aware, mental health has been on the short end of the funding stick. I hope that through my time with you tonight, I have given you a little glimpse into how important it is for our town and community to continue to have the helps and supports that you provide. Thank you very much.
Jamie, do you have any more that you want to speak, or you?
I did just want to add, sorry, numbers important to Littleton. So we had turned in a letter on December 5th to the select board that identified 190 residents that had been served. That number at the end of December was up to 202. Just wanted to add that.
Thank you. All right. So I'm assuming you're done with your allotted time. Super. Any other conversation, questions?
I just wanted to say thank you for sharing. It's not easy to get in front of a mic, and I think everybody in the room really felt what you were saying, and I really appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Other questions, comments?
December Rust, Littleton resident. I just wonder if this is enough money to actually do what needs to be done here in Littleton. I'm a huge advocate for mental health programs and for advocacy, and I just, I don't know the current situation, and this isn't a judgment on the organization, but I know in recent years there has been a lengthy waiting period to get into to see anybody there, and there's a process. So I understand staffing is an issue because that's what I was told, and I understand across the board, especially being up here in the North Country, that staffing, especially in healthcare, is a very difficult aspect. But you know, I may speak about other warrant articles that maybe aren't as essential to the community and health and well-being of Littleton. But frankly, I'd like to see more money being put towards this. And I'm not just throwing out any number because I don't have a number to say, and that would just be irresponsible to throw out a number. But I would like to see the organization supported more by the town because they do tremendous work and they offer a lot to people who would have no help at all and who would absolutely fall through the cracks. And there's a whole trickle-down effect that happens after that. So I appreciate all they do, and I'd like to see, hopefully, and of course, I'm sure they're conservative to try not to ask too much of taxpayers, but I'd like to see that number increase so that if there are staffing issues, if there are things like that, that they can be addressed, because I think everybody needs to be helped. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those, yeah, you can. Sure.
Thank you. That's the second year, so I'm going to bring that back to my director. But these funds in particular go towards emergency services and offsetting acute mental health crises, and those have no wait list. You can walk in the door and receive those services. You can call and be seen that day, the next day. We have rapid response now where we can see you for stabilization appointments up to 30 days. While you're waiting to get in, and because the wait list is long, he's right, and while you're waiting to get in, intaked, and all of that. So just so you know that these emergency services have no wait.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of putting the article on the warrant? Thank you very much. Article 52, petition Boys and Girls Club of the North Country to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $11,000 to support the Boys and Girls Club of the North Country in order to provide a healthy, safe, and productive after-school and vacation camp environment for children from Littleton and the local community. The club provides busing from the Littleton School to the club for the after-school program, which costs $18,000 a year by petition. Estimated tax impact of 0.8 cents per thousand, recommended by the Select Board, 3 to 2 to 0, recommended by the Budget Committee, 7 to 0 to 0. The primary petitioner I had scheduled for this was Emily Stanislawski. It's my understanding that she was not able to make it tonight. However, is Erin still? No, hi, Erin Talcott from the Boys and Girls Club. She's who we voted earlier to allow to speak tonight as a non-resident. She is here to answer questions, and if she wants to talk for a couple minutes, she's more than welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm Erin Talcott. I'm the Development Associate at the Boys and Girls Club of the North Country. Just also wanted to say thank you for your story. A lot of our club kids receive services from you guys, and so we're really grateful. I've seen the great work you do firsthand. So the Boys and Girls Club of the North Country's mission is to provide a fun, safe, positive place for all children of the North Country under the guidance of caring adults. We've been providing out-of-school time services for the past 20 years for local school-age children. That includes after school, school vacation camp, and summer camp. Many of you know that we're also expanding our services, and in this May, we will be providing full-time early childcare for infants, toddlers, and preschoolers. So we currently, because of the renovation, our after-school registration numbers have to be capped at 50 children. So currently, 22 of the 50 children at the Boys and Girls Club come from Lakeway. But I also wanted to add the vast majority of our kids who attend the club, their parents are employed by Littleton businesses as well. And so we typically, in general, service, especially with our new early child care center, are looking at servicing around 150 children annually come this May. And again, I've been here listening the past 2 nights. I understand your concerns as taxpayers. I live over in Bethlehem. I also am a taxpayer and feel those concerns, and just wanted to remind everyone that many of the families we serve are the ones that are being hit the hardest. 78% of our families receive free or reduced lunch, and 50% of our families fall below the $45,000 threshold. And I will hang out up here in case anyone has any questions. So thank you.
All right,
And I waive my time.
All right. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. All those in favor of placing the article on the warrant? Thank you very much. All right. Article 52 is on the warrant. Article 53, petition the Bridge Outreach Center, the Littleton Food Pantry, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,500 to help offset the purchase in food for distribution of the Littleton Food Pantry by petition. Estimated tax impact is 0.2 cents per thousand, recommended by the Select Board 4-1 to 0, recommended by the Budget Committee 7-0 to 0. The primary petitioner for this article was to be James Annan. He was here last night, but was not able to make it tonight. He did, however, reach out to the town, and I do have, I have a statement from the bridge that we'll use as his allotted 10 minutes for the primary petition. So I'm reading this to read into the minutes of this, not as a representative of the bridge, and I don't have the ability to answer any questions, anything like that, because I'm not associated with the organization. But here we go. The Bridge Outreach Center, Littleton Food Pantry. The Bridge Outreach Center operates the Littleton Food Pantry out of our location at 770 Reddington Street. The pantry has been in operation since 2012 and has continued to grow in service to our community. In 2023, we were able to move into the newly renovated 2,500 square foot space, which included a loading dock. This new space has allowed the pantry to receive tractor-trailer loads of food monthly from the USDA and the New Hampshire Food Bank, facilitating the distribution of hundreds of thousands of pounds of food to many families and individuals in Littleton. On average, the Littleton Food Pantry serves 140 to 150 families each month, which equates to about 450 individuals. Most of these are from Littleton. Over the last few years, the income guidelines for distributing food has increased to the point where we can serve anyone who visits the pantry and asks for assistance. Our goal is to distribute as much food as possible to as many people as have need. Our facility is equipped with ample refrigeration and freezer space, so we can provide both non-perishable foods and perishable foods like dairy, cheeses, and meats. Our facility also serves as a drop-off pickup depot for other pantries and agencies in Littleton and our region, allowing for more food to be distributed through this network of pantries. The pantry also facilitates a yearly Thanksgiving dinner program where all patrons who sign up receive all the items for a complete meal, including the turkey. We also operate the Christmas Connections program, which connects local businesses and organizations with families in our community who need assistance with providing special Christmas gifts for their children. Each week, our team of volunteers also pick up donated fresh rescue foods, personal care items, and household products from Shaw's, Walmart, the Littleton Co-op, Dollar General, and Starbucks. All these items are made available to every patron who comes to the pantry for assistance. Many thanks go out to our local establishments that have been so generous in their donations. The Littleton Food Pantry operates mainly on donations from local businesses, companies, and individuals who share our mission to alleviate food insecurity in our community. Elevate Church has also donated the use of the facility to operate the pantry. The bulk of our food comes from the New Hampshire Food Bank. Unlike the USDA program, which provides the commodity foods at no cost, we do have to pay a deeply discounted price per pound for the food that we order from the New Hampshire Food Bank. Our need for food inventory continues to increase. We are requesting from our town of Littleton the sum of $2,500 to help offset the cost of purchasing food from the New Hampshire Food Bank. Thank you for the opportunity to present this need as we look forward to expanding our service to Littleton. All right. Are there any comments, questions, or anything like that? All those in favor of placing it on the warrant as presented? Thank you very much. The article is posted on the warrant as presented. Article 54, petition Amanuset Community Health Services. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,000 for Amanuset Community Health Services, Inc., ACHS. ACHS is a nonprofit community health center that provides comprehensive primary preventative health care to all, regardless of their financial situation. This will enable ACHS to continue to provide top-notch affordable health care to 1,755 current Littleton patients. ACHS provides healthcare services to 8,425 patients within 26 towns in northern Grafton and southern Coos counties and has sites in Littleton, Whitefield, Warren, and Woodsville by petition. Estimated tax impact of 1.1 cent per thousand. Recommended by the Select Board 4 to 1 to 0. Recommended by the Budget Committee 7 to 0 to 0. And for ACHS, I have Heather Porter as the primary petitioner.
Hi, everyone. I'm Heather Porter. I'm a member of the Board of Directors for Amanuset Community Health Services. Amanuset is a nonprofit, federally qualified health center serving 1,755 Littleton patients, as well as patients from 25 surrounding communities. For many of our neighbors, we are their primary and sometimes only source of health care. We provide primary medical care, behavioral health services, and preventative care to people of all ages, regardless of their ability to pay or insurance status. One of the ways we do this is through a sliding fee scale, which is required of all federally qualified health centers. What that means is no one is turned away because of cost. Patients' fees are based on household income and family size, so people pay what they can reasonably afford. Some pay full cost, some pay reduced fees, and for others the fee may be minimal, but everyone receives the same quality of care. This approach helps seniors on fixed incomes and individuals facing temporary hardship or working families who earn too much to qualify for assistance but still struggle with healthcare costs. It also helps keep people healthy and out of the emergency room, which ultimately reduces strain on local hospitals and town resources. We are here tonight to respectfully request the town's permission to place a funding request on the ballot so voters can decide whether they wish to support this essential community service. Town funding does not replace insurance payments or federal support. It helps us keep care local, maintain the sliding fee scale, recruit and retain providers, and continue meeting the needs of this community. Allowing us on the ballot gives residents the opportunity to decide whether investing in accessible, community-based healthcare is a priority for our town. We take our responsibility as a nonprofit seriously. We are accountable, mission-driven, and careful stewards of every dollar entrusted to us. We respectfully ask for your support in allowing this request to go before the voters. Thank you for your time. And I waive the rest of my time.
Well, thank you. All right, any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of placing it on the warrant, hold up your card. Thank you very much. All right. We are on to our last page and only 2 articles left. Article 55, petition Pathways Pregnancy Care Center. To see if the town of Littleton will vote by petition to assist Pathways Pregnancy Care Center in the amount of $3,200 to help in maintaining and increasing its material assistance and education programs in 2026. Through material assistance, clients receive diapers, wipes, clothing, and other family essentials when needed. Through the education program, over 200 different courses in English or Spanish are available, ranging in topic from pregnancy, prenatal development, birth, parenting, life skills, healthy relationships, healing from abuse, and much more. Courses are available at the center, and most can be sent via text or email to clients for them to complete at home. Most of Pathways courses are through Bright Course, and annual subscription is about $1,500. All Pathways services are free of charge and strictly confidential to anyone who needs assistance by petition. Estimated tax impact is 0.2 cents per thousand, recommended by the Select Board 4 to 1 to 0, recommended by the Budget Committee 7 to 0 to 0. And the primary petitioner for Pathways Pregnancy Care Center is Matt St. John.
Thank you very much. I'll be brief if that's okay.
Littleton is one, I'm Matt St. John, taxpayer, a resident, and member of the Pathways Board of Directors. Littleton is one of several nearby towns that has, through the generosity of taxpayers, helped Pathways to help expectant mothers, new mothers, fathers, and children in need. The money that taxpayers authorize is placed in an isolated account and used only for direct support to those parents and to the children who come through the center. It is never spent on operational costs like salaries or rent or utilities or whatever the case may be. Taxpayers' compassion and generosity have helped us to serve 69 patients in 2025 and to distribute more than 300 visits. We've given out more than 500 boxes of diapers and wipes, thousands of clothing items, more than 150 cans of baby formula, and more than 100 books and gift cards. We serve and support all who come to our door. Many have spoken as well over the last couple of nights and during the school board deliberative, which was much shorter, Carrie, on Monday, about how many of our neighbors are in need. And I think Steve Kelly's point from a minute ago is well taken, that the continued generosity of the taxpayers of Littleton can go a long way to providing critical support to those neighbors of ours. And so, in a sense, I wanted them to have the last word. I want to share a quote from a comment that I recently came across from a client who visited the center, and she says this: Pathways helps by being someone to talk to when needed, a shoulder to cry on, a box of diapers when they're most needed, clothes and supplies for my 2 toddlers, and even toys during Christmas. Pathways has helped me through many hardships, is the reason my kids never had to go without diapers or clothes. I am very thankful for all the services Pathways has offered to me. So on behalf of Pathways, thank you very much for considering this request and considering placing it in front of the voters. Thanks.
Thank you.
I yield my time.
Well, thank you. All right, are there any questions or comments?
Elise Cherian, Town of Littleton. I first want to thank Pathways for all of the services they provide, including diaper distribution. I know that's a very big issue, especially expanding access for families. So petition Article 55 would allow the town to give our tax money to Pathways Pregnancy Care Center, which is a faith-based non-medical center that advises pregnant people against abortion, which is a legal option in New Hampshire. This is the only faith-based organization that the town plans to give our tax money to, which is a direct violation of the separation between church and state. Additionally, the town of Littleton only has so much money, and there are many people of lower income. We have been discussing with budgets and taxes the past 2 nights how to save everyone more money. This is not the best use of our tax money, and it is also not our responsibility to fund faith-based organizations. Therefore, it is an unnecessary expense. Since we cannot take this article off of the ballot, I would like to make a motion to amend this petition article and change the dollar amount from $3,200 to $1.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we have a motion to amend the dollar amount from $3,200 to $1. Is there a second?
Second.
Yes, you can do that. And the second, Lilo is the second? Did you get that, Angie? Okay, all right, we'll now open it up to discussion.
We've had this discussion for the last couple of years. The church, separation of church and state argument doesn't hold water in this case or in many cases. In this country, which is a religious-based country, we have a long history of government support to religious institutions. If you wanted to cut off Medicare and Medicaid payments to non-secular hospitals and nursing homes tomorrow, you could collapse our health system probably in a week's time. I don't think the people in Monroe are going to stop tuitioning their kids to St. J Academy. Pell Grants to various religious schools throughout the country. I'm not saying that this institution doesn't have some faith relationship, but from what I can see, is they are very honest and forthright in what they're providing for service, and it's a little bit of help to young people who are struggling to raise a family. And I think that, again, you wouldn't have to have many police calls for home abuse issues or child abuse or whatever the case would be to eat up a policeman's time for $3,200. Having this type of institution available to help these people so they never get to a crisis situation is a great benefit to our community. And I would definitely oppose this change in the dollar amount.
Thank you.
Just so I understand, December Russ, Littleton resident, am I talking about the motion or on the actual petition?
Right now we're discussing the motion.
Oh, my apologies. I actually wanted to talk about the actual, okay.
Well, maybe I could ask council, is it pretty much the same?
It's about the motion.
Okay, we'll keep it about the motion.
Okay.
Lilo Reinstein, Littleton. I think we can all agree to disagree on the statement as to whether or not religion is the basis of our country or whatever the stuff that was saying. People who claim that our founding fathers were Christian are kind of inaccurate. And that's my opinion. You have your opinion. My concern with this religious organization is that while they are following their own belief structures, they are not providing the care that all women need. They have limits. If you go to most religious hospitals will still provide the medical care necessary. So that's my concern here. And I support taking, the $1 down.
So I am familiar with Pathways Pregnancy Care Center, and they are not a religious organization. They are here to help anyone who needs their assistance, as has already been stated, as to the services they provide. And I'm going to, again, reiterate that this is a very tiny group. We need to honor the $3,200 that is requested, and we need to honor putting it on the ballot so that the whole town of Littleton can vote on this. Thank you.
Okay, I take back my time. No, I just want to speak to two elements of the motion that was presented. One, of course, there's nothing unconstitutional or inappropriate about the petition. This has been a petition, a similar petition has been on for a number of years. Separation of church and state is not enshrined in law. It's from a letter that President Jefferson wrote when president to the Danbury Baptists in Connecticut. I want to speak more forcefully to the dollar amount question. Look, I think I respect anybody who has a principled objection to any one of these petitions, to any one of these articles. It's well within everyone's right to do so, whether it's Rudy's crusade against flowers or a belief that this is not the most appropriate use of taxpayer funds. But the consideration that we make tonight is whether or not to bring this article to the ballot in March to let the taxpayers of Littleton make a decision to join their voices to ours about whether or not they think this is an appropriate use of appropriation of their taxpayer dollars. So I would say, for me, I would oppose the motion and encourage the body assembled here to bring this forward as originally written, not to give an endorsement from any of us tonight. This is the thing that we must do, but to place this on the ballot and to allow the taxpayers to decide, as we have done in almost every circumstance, maybe every circumstance, over the course of the last 2 evenings. Thanks.
I guess I disagree that we should just allow everything to go on the ballot, because we need to let all of the taxpayers have a choice. All of those same taxpayers had the same opportunity we do to be here the last 2 nights. They could have been here for this discussion. If it was just going to be, we're going to let everything go forward and it doesn't matter because the vote will take place in March, why have these meetings?
Good evening. I'm Mary Pat Simmons. I am the chair of
the Pathways Pregnancy Care Center Board. And I just wanted to make a couple clarifications, if I could, if this is an appropriate time. We don't refuse anyone. Not one person do we refuse. And I'd like to read this testimony or this letter of encouragement, thanks, from a mom of 3. She wrote this on November 17th of 2025. 1 year ago, I started going to Pathways. I was between a rock and a hard place. I felt like my life was crumbling. Pathways helped me in a few ways. Kathy, Dawn, Winnie, and Victoria are the most kindest, loving people. Everyone is so sweet, understanding, helpful, and gentle spoken. They are helpful in many ways. We've needed clothes for all of my littles, baby diapers, formula, providing healthy snacks, and hanging out with my little ones. I think moms in need, moms who are struggling emotionally and physically, dads with little ones, should be able to experience the wholesome love from the ladies at Pathways. If I could spend time every day with such wonderful people, I would. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, and that was from Denisha.
Rudy Joseph Littleton. I mean, you know, we've been over here for 2 days, listen all this warrant article and stuff like that. In my opinion, this is the best warrant articles that I ever read, you know, for just 2 days. Please, donate the money, because this money that you donated, it's well served to anybody. I want to preface how you would think. I'm not going to have no more kids, but anyway, just, you know, donate. This is the best warrant articles ever in town.
All right, we've probably heard a lot on either side. I think it's probably pretty clear to everybody in the room what the consequence of going down to $1 is. Is everybody ready to vote on this? Or is any new information that nobody has heard at all? Sorry.
No, I was going to do a question. So.
Oh, okay. Well.
Hi, Elise Jarian, Littleton resident. I just want to add a little bit of context. So first, to address Pathways Pregnancy Care Center is a faith-based organization. They say on their website that they are, quote, a ministry. Second of all, they do not provide accurate information regarding abortion, and if someone does want an abortion, which they say they support people and do not refuse care, they will not provide people with a referral to an organization or any information to help them access an abortion, which is a legal option regardless of your views on it. So just want to add a little bit of context to the aspect of not providing comprehensive care and to providing biased care. Thank you.
All right. Is everybody ready for a question? All those in favor of amending the dollar amount of Article 55 from $3,200 to $1, please hold up your yes card if you are in favor of the amendment. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right? 7, excuse me. All those opposed to the amendment, please hold up your cards, and there are much more than that, so the amendment fails. Is there any more discussion on the article?
December Rust, Littleton resident. So yeah, also on the Littleton Area Chamber of Commerce website, it lists Pathways as a Christ-centered organization, so it's not just in one place. The issue here is, to me, is not a separation of church and state. It's a matter of access. Information shows across this country that those indoctrinated by a religion, the numbers are falling drastically. So to go ahead and ask taxpayers to fund a program that actually does not allow everybody to come to their door would not it's cutting off certain accessibility to certain people. If you are not Christ-centered, You might not want to go to a place that is to seek care. And also, they are not going to likely share the information that abortion is legal and that it is an option. I have 3 kids. I had to seek the assistance of an agency like this with my youngest years ago, not here in Littleton. It was a Christ-based organization, and it became more of an ideology situation rather than just wanting to help me and help us on a human level, which is what this should be, not on an indoctrination level. So that's all. The taxpayers should, it's not a separation of church and state. It's a matter of the fact that we're being asked to pay for something that everyone does not have access to. So thank you.
Mary Menzies, Town of Littleton. I personally am a little uncomfortable, well, I will say quite uncomfortable. This is on the ballot every year, absolutely, and it's also hotly debated every year. I think let the voters decide. I personally am probably going to vote against it, and half the people in this room are going, yay, and half the people are going, oh, you horrible person. But that's my vote, so let's let everybody vote. Thank you.
Mary Lavelle, I'm live in the town of Littleton. I'm also a new member on the board of the directors at the Pathways Pregnancy Care Center. I would like to share why I am there. 23 years ago, my daughter was pregnant, was in a very bad relationship, and she went to Pathways. And they were tremendous and gave her so much help. That grandson now is serving in the submarine service in the United States Navy. Pathways will help anyone that comes in that wants help to help their family, to have their baby, to keep their baby. They are open to anyone of any faith that comes through their door. It is a wonderful program. It helps so many young families and young parents with the necessary essentials. We've talked about how there is so many in this area that need this type of assistance, and they provide so much more than what is being asked. And I also believe that this should go to the town and let the voters decide. The voters have approved this every year, that it has been on the warrant articles, which has been quite a few years. Thank you.
Jamie Rose Kelly, Littleton resident. I just want to share sort of generically, because it's about a client, but in one of my clients in therapy had the decision, found herself pregnant and had a decision to make, and she cites Pathways Pregnancy Care Center as helping her make that decision, not coercing her, not convincing her otherwise. She is not religious at all, and in fact, if it was thrown down her throat, she would have run for the hills. And at the time, it was, her son's about 2, so at the time when she was pregnant, they had a broad conversation about whether or not she wanted to keep the baby or not keep the baby, and that they were supportive of whatever decision she made. They don't provide the abortion, but they were in support in her of whatever decision she made. And because of this, she didn't think she could do it on her own, and because of the support provided here, now she has a healthy, almost 2-year-old that she's a very good mom, and she was able to, and very low income as well, lots of physical problems, so can't work, denied by disability, so like any help that she can get from us, her neighbors, and you know, through Pathways Pregnancy, Family Resource Center also, right? Like these places provided support so that she could be a good mom, and she is a good mom. And so, and she didn't have to worry about where the diaper's coming from or where's the, you know, the other supplies coming from. So that's just a testimony from my perspective of sitting in a therapy room with somebody who wrestled with a decision, who received the support that they needed from Pathways when they were wrestling with whether or not they're going to keep the pregnancy and throughout this, her pregnancy and birth.
Thank you.
John Goodrich, I'm still in Littleton. I think this is an issue that I think people are very definite about. Personally, I support it, but I can respect some of the arguments that say it shouldn't be funded this way too. But I support it, and I think we could talk on and on and on. But because we could, and it wouldn't change a whole lot of things, I move the question.
Super. All right. All those in favor of placing the article on the warrant as presented, please hold up your yes cards. Thank you very much. No cards? All right, the yeses have it. Last article of the night. Article 56, petition Littleton Community Center to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 to support a donation to the Littleton Community Center. These funds will be used for the second phase of rehabilitating the community center's carriage barn, also known as the Annex, which has been shuttered for more than a decade following structural and safety issues. The plan is to restore the building to serve the community once again by petition. Estimated tax impact is 3.7 cents per thousand, not recommended by the Select Board 2 to 3 to 0, recommended by the Budget Committee 4 to 0 to 2. And the primary petitioner on behalf of the Littleton Community Center is Mary Menzies.
Mary Menzies, Town of Littleton, deja vu all over again. I will keep this very brief. If I don't speak at all, you'll think I don't care. If I go on for 10 minutes, you're really going to hate me. This is the last item on the warrant tonight. Very briefly, many of you know, many of you don't know, we have got a $2.2 million project to finish rehabilitating the carriage barn in the rear of the Littleton Community Center and bring it back to be a vital part of the community, providing meeting space and wedding venues and concerts and all kinds of things which will bring lots of economic benefits to the town of Littleton. We have managed to obtain a $1 million grant from the Northern Border Regional Commission, which is contingent upon finding a matching $1 million by the end of June. Maggie Goodlander's office got us $400,000 in congressionally designated funds, and we are applying for other grants as well as personal donations and tax credits and things like that. It would be very helpful in raising these other funds to be able to say that we had the support of the town of Littleton with this warrant article. I don't have anything to add. I will answer questions, and I waive the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, are there any questions or comments?
Eric Greinstein, Littleton. My big question is, okay, they'll rehabilitate this building so that we have more meeting space. We already have we have the Opera House. We have the community center already. This is just more, is there a documented need, especially as, for instance, the Opera House, Theater Up is going to be building their own system, so the Opera House is going to be even more free. There's a lot of space for this. Do we need to rehabilitate this to have more space? Is there really that demand? That's...
Yeah, you.
Well, I spared you the long version. Yes, there is a documented need that there is a lack of affordable area business convention meeting space in the range of 50 to 100 people, which is what we will be offering. The current space at the community center is much smaller. The Opera House is much bigger. You can go out to the Rocks, which is big and very expensive. This will meet a definite need in the community space petition, whatever. Range of space availability. I'm sorry, it's getting late.
Rudy Joseph, Littleton, New Hampshire. What I don't understand are this beautiful lady says that Article 55, it's been on the ballot for last 10 years about raising some money from the pathway pregnancy. Excuse me.
Hey, Rudy, we're on 56. We're on the community center.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're not talking about previous articles. We're talking about this one.
Now, out of this thing over here, Littleton Community Center has been in the ballot.
Turn the mic up if you can. There you go, so people can hear you.
Littleton Community Center has been in the ballot for last 10 years that I know personally. Every year we've been given 50,000, 100,000, and so and so and so. I heard she can say that Article 55 has been on the warrant articles every year. This $50,000 for her, for the Littleton Community Center doesn't mean nothing because they receive a lot of money from the government, for donation, and some other stuff. Why they want $50,000 from us, a taxpayer? That's wrong.
Shamariah Nelson. I'm a commercial real estate broker. There is a need for this in this area. There is a lot of meeting space, but it's not professional. It's really difficult to have people from out of town come in supporting our town and bringing business in and sitting in a high school gym or cafeteria and do that professionally. If we have that much meeting space, we wouldn't be here right now. We would be in a professional space. I support this.
December Russ, Littleton resident. The question was asked about what are the benefits of this space, and the only option that was offered was space for businesses to meet. So once again, we're looking at spending taxpayer money so that businesses can grow their business, so they can benefit. Also, there's $50,000 from, because I attended the budget committee meeting and previous Board of Selectmen meetings. This is, as it was told at those meetings, is intended as skin in the game. So because the community center is seeking other grants, they need money, and so they're asking taxpayers to show that Littleton residents are behind this and are willing to spend $50,000 of their money to support this project. Another aspect of this, and it was brought up at those meetings, is that because Littleton is classified as low in poverty, again, it opens up the Littleton Community Center for options for going after grants because of the demographic of Littleton, not because of its business climate or its economic high-end climate, but because of its low-income climate. And yet nothing has been discussed how that space is actually going to be benefiting the people that the grant is being leveraged against to go after. So I mean, these are things that were said at other meetings. It doesn't make any sense, to ask taxpayers to further support businesses in this regard, and then to not provide actual information. We have a Littleton Senior Center that takes care of seniors, bingo, different kinds of activities. We have a peer support center that takes care of activities over there. We have, there's a bunch of different organizations that already offer different community benefits, and the only one that's presented here tonight for this one is to benefit businesses, so they can be more professional, and so that next year we can meet there, I guess, instead of here, which I'm fine meeting here if it's going to save taxpayers $50,000. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I was in the restroom, so I missed the beginning part of Mary's thing, but it sounded like these funds would be used for leveraging for grant funding or for match of grant funding, and frequently grant funds are connected to economic benefits. I'm not sure if that's specific to your grant funding. However, I can't help but put it into the record that this is a great opportunity for hosting public restrooms, which again, that's a huge thing, and people who are participating in the economy, they need places to use the restroom. Thank you.
John Goodrich, and I haven't moved.
Are you still 75?
I'd just like to maybe take a counter argument about helping business. We all know the tax story here in Littleton. It went from roughly 50% paid by businesses to 50% paid by, and 50% paid by homeowners, to a swing of 60-40 now, picked up more by homeowners. Well, when you think about it, if we don't help businesses, they could have a spiral downward, and it would make us less of a town than we are now. We shouldn't be afraid to say this is worthwhile because it supports the whole community, like rising tides support boats. And so I think it's maybe a little penny wise and pound foolish not to support something like this. I've seen other communities where they have decent meeting places and they really pay dividends and make the community a better place to be. So for that reason, and I was one of the budget committee members that supported this. And I can understand the arguments, but I think we gotta really be a little bit generous about businesses because we want them to be successful. And we don't want them to fall further than they already have. So I support this. Should I move the question?
I think we have Mary, hold on just a second. We have Regina.
Regina Bowler, Littleton says, resident. I also serve on the Board of Trustees for the Community Center. One of the reasons I accepted the invitation years ago to join this board is it was called the Littleton Community Center, not the Littleton Business Center. Mary did explain to you the qualifying information we needed to provide for the grants. What she did not list for you is all the minutia details of all the individual groups, nonprofits, that have used the house this past year and years before. The nonprofit organizations, everything from Girl Scouts to the Trout Unlimited to other groups that will reserve the space and use it. The use of it by businesses is minimal. The use of it by persons, families, and groups within our community is huge. This is a community where if I want to host a 60th birthday party for myself next year, there is no restaurant with a function room that's appropriate. I could go to a mega place, or I could reserve the community house, and for a nominal fee, I get a mansion for that short time, as does anybody in the community who would like to. It is that simple, it is that easy. The accessibility downtown is more than what we've done for payment in lieu of taxes in allowing the meters to go up. The accessibility also allows walking to the library, the churches, to everything in that area. The annex building has been inoperable for more than 10 years because the foundation beneath it softened out after more than a century. That building is built to the same architectural standard as the house by the same architect for the same wealthy man in 1884. That building cannot be replaced if it burns down, and it is long overdue to be put back into service. And yes, I am one of the squeaky wheels on the board who points out people in Littleton need a public place to pee and not squat behind the Masonic temple to pee in public and risk getting arrested.
Thank you, Regina. Obviously, I made a tactical error in giving you the very short version instead of the very long version, which extols all of the virtues of the community center and everything that they do for the community. And I was trying to just focus on the Carriage Barn project, but I think that Regina has done a lovely job explaining that. Thank you.
Lilo Reinstein, Littleton. I guess my thing is, again, this is a kind of fee, should be a fee-based item. And when someone tells me they can do something for a nominal fee in such a fantastic building, I go, whoa, wait a minute. Why can't the fees be market fees and the town not have to put extra money in? You have grants to take care of your annex right now, is what you said, and this is just to kind of like show that we can do something. So I'm going, the annex, I guess the first phase must have fixed the foundation anyways, but we need to think, this is fees, and it's you all. It's not the town fees, it's the community center fees. So why is the town putting in money? What is the taxpayer getting from it? I'm getting so that people can have nominal fee birthday parties because they want to have so many people they can't fit them in a restaurant or a home or something. I don't understand why the taxpayer needs to spend $50,000 on freshening up a building. Now, I'm not an advocate of all this having the public bathrooms be paid by the taxpayer. I personally think the people who are complaining, which is the Chamber of Commerce, should be the one putting them out. But this might be a location to do it if we're going to put 50 grand in, and we can dictate that there's some bathrooms that are publicly accessible.
Really, just a little time, New Hampshire. I just forgot two things to mention. One is that the town, every time we use that particular place, we pay for it. Another thing that they don't mention, whoever's in charge of this Littleton Community Center, is that they have people who live over there on the 2nd floor, and they pay rent. That is, I mean, between the town, and of course the town get the money from the taxpayer to all the meetings, and we pay for it. Nobody mentioned that. We already give them all this money that they ask for. They don't have to ask for another $50,000. They got enough money. Thank you.
Sylvia Smith. I was a member of our original hospice that we had before we merged with the North Country Home Health, and I served on that group for a while. We had, well, the original hospice, we had several Christmas parties there. These were volunteers, all the community people who volunteered to go out and do hospice services. There was a wonderful facility for that. It's a wonderful community facility, and it does benefit the people in town. They have a very nice place to go. So to me, this is something that is definitely should be left up to the people in the community, because I think it does touch everybody in the community. They've been there at one point or another for some function. Thank you.
Regina Bowler Littleton, following up to say, this is actually an economic opportunity. We are all standing in a building that was partly funded because this community agreed to warrant articles to match funds for the CTC that was built. And that included, of course, the junior high school and the preschool care and all that down there. This community knew to take advantage of the hard work that an advisory committee did to get, I can't even quote the accurate amount now, but more money than we had in our own pockets, because we applied for grant funds and we had to come up with community-based matching funds. And that is exactly what the Community House Board is doing. We are getting $1 million for a $50,000 match.
I believe that comparing a private entity with a public school, which is a responsibility of a community, is disingenuous. Thank you.
All right, we don't.
Tom Hall, age unknown. But I was born in Littleton, and 4 whatever that is. I think I'm getting close to that. So I do know I've driven up and down Main Street a few times in my life. And if I drive up Main Street tomorrow, I see the library and I see the community house and the diner. And pretty much all the rest of it's not there anymore. It's changed. The shoe stores, the grocery stores, all the stores that made it a real walking Main Street back in the day. Now I heard last night or the night before that there are 39 restaurants in the town of Littleton, and I think most of them are on Main Street. And then we have the longest candy counter in the world. So, yeah, I don't like the budget, I sure don't. But what makes Littleton still a little bit of what Littleton was is things like the library and things like the community house. If I go down on the meadow, Walmart is sitting in Albert Parker's field, and Shaw's is sitting in Hubert Merrill's field, and Staples is where George Morrow's farm was. It's all changed. But this building is unique to this town. And I think it's worth the $50,000. I understand if you've only lived here a few years, 8 years, 10 years, you don't have that same connection. But that connection should be important to the town itself to try to hold on to some pieces of the town's identity.
Right.
Hi, I just have 2 things. First of all, congratulate yourselves for doing 7.5 hours of deliberative, if you've been here both nights. It's really great that you all show up. And secondly, I'd like to move the question.
All right. All those in favor of putting the article as presented on the warrant, please hold up your yes cards. Thank you very much. Opposed, your no cards. All right, the yeses have it. And unless Mr. Kelly has something he wants to...
To quote, and in memory of the late, great, and much missed Jerry Eames, this was fabulous.
Thank you. All right, this concludes the deliberative session. Please, everybody come out and vote on Tuesday, March 10th at the Highway Garage from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Thank you very much, and everybody have a great night.